can't believe that this is happening to me. I can't believe it. People don't like my YouTube channel. They're all, anyone who disagrees with what I do on my YouTube channel are haters, and none of their criticisms are valid because I'm just a human being. Sometimes I say I'm actually from a different planet and I'm galactic and I'm getting messages from God and source depending on the day. But if you think that this is not divine, then you are out to get me. End scene. Who was I just channeling right there? Was it God above? No. That was Aubrey Marcus, a guru who we're going to be talking about for the 15th time today. We've talked about him 3 other times, basically all about the same podcast that we're actually going to be not watching again, but this is Aubrey's response to that podcast that we watched on this channel in 2 parts, and then I did a whole edited video as well. So if you're needing to catch up and you have a lot of free time, like myself, please go back and watch that. So this is going to be the response and the plot thickening again, because I'll do a small recap. So basically, Aubrey Marcus, and let me get all the people in here so you can see who the hell I'm talking about. Aubrey Marcus is this guru who's, very spiritual. He thinks he's a buffalo and he uses AI to depict himself as such. He loves going to Burning Man. Okay, that's him right there. He's married to Vylana, okay? And he also is in lovership with Alana, okay? He used to be engaged to this woman named Whitney. And I thought that's where the beginning and end of this love quadrangle started and ended. Because essentially, now we're going back. We've seen all the people now. Well, not yet, but Aubrey was with Whitney, okay? Then Aubrey meets Vylana. Aubrey leaves Whitney to marry Vylana, and then they're monogamous. Then they didn't explain when this happened, but essentially at some point they decided, oh no, Aubrey needs a new girlfriend. That becomes Alana, and that's what I thought the end of it was. However, apparently there's a whole nother ex-fiance other than Whitney that's sort of involved in this and is going to be appearing on Aubrey's podcast to make sure her former boo thing does not get dragged through the coals, even though he already is. And that person is named the Poet Queen, aka, what's her name? Chelsea? Let me check. Her name is, Caitlin Howes. So we got Whitney, Vylana, Alana, and Caitlin. So this guy apparently just likes to date and be with a bunch of women, but also wants to be engaged to them immediately and wants to marry them all, and he has some issues, so it seems. But this woman is going to be on this podcast that we're going to listen to. I watched the intro already, which was 2.5 minutes. It was the most dramatic thing you would possibly ever see. However, it's got music, so I can't play it. But basically, they recapped what we're going to see in the podcast. And it's a lot of wars are started because of people not accepting other human beings for who they want to be. So basically what he is going through by having multiple partners and making 4-hour-long podcasts about it, and people responding negatively to that because he's got another podcast and said monogamy is the only way, and here's my advice on radical monogamy, and now he's changing his tune. If you don't agree with that, then you are causing wars. You are the one responsible for all the wars and famine in this world. Anyway, so we're going to watch. I'm going to pull up people's Instagrams and whatever, but I think Caitlin, just based on this intro, is a drama queen. Okay, she's acting like he's being physically crucified, and people are whipping him in the streets and tar and feathering him as he goes to Erewhon every day. It's insane how dramatic she's in tears. Apparently their relationship didn't work out. I'm curious if they're going to go into details as to why, because if he's such a great man like she's claiming he is in this podcast, why ain't you together? Why ain't you together now? That's a good question. We're going to find out. But first, I came across this interesting Instagram post. Now, I didn't know Caitlyn existed until 2 hours ago. But this is from her Instagram from 2020, and it involves Aubrey, and it involves Whitney, who again is his other ex-fiance. So let's just read what this Instagram post is. And I guess I shouldn't have, there you go, that's a better one. And I guess they were together too? I don't know. Let's unpack. So it says, this woman is one of my best friends on the planet, Whitney Miller. And as far as I can tell, Whitney Miller is no longer on the Aubrey Marcus is a god train. She seems like she got some therapy, has a new boyfriend, and has some clarity in her life that she is not supporting this whole thing anymore. She's like over it. She's kind of figured out that it was all a scam. That's what it seems like on her Instagram. She has not made any formal statements that I can tell, but there you go. Anyways, okay, let's go back. All right. This woman is one of my best friends on this planet, Whitney Miller. She was also once my ex-fiance, Aubrey Marcus's hot new girlfriend, and eventually became his fiance too. He is also now my greatest friend. Sound crazy? If you asked me 8 years ago where we would all end up, I never could have guessed how it would happen. But here we all are, free of the hooks of pain and possession that romantic relationships often carry as they transition. We've all been through it. Rivalry, jealousy, competition, and resistance to plant medicine journeys in the Amazon, multiple Burning Man adventures. Okay, again, this is rich people being bored problems. This is where all of this stems from. It's people who have money and they're like, should we go back to Burning Man again? Should we go to the Cafe Marmont again? Or Hotel Marmont? Like, they're just bored. They have nothing to do. And they have no challenges in their life at this point. So they're like, let's have a polyamorous relationship at Burning Man. Anyways, we've all been through it. Rivalry, jealousy, competition, resistance, plant medicine, and Amazon, multiple Burning Man adventures, wild party trips, holding each other through new relationships and multiple heartbreaks, and ultimately all collaborating in our careers to support others in living free and true for the greater good. Whitney and I finally sit down on her podcast, blah, blah, blah. So they did a podcast together. This conversation, da-da-da. Grab your popcorn. Okay. So apparently they were dating. They also were dating Aubrey and engaged. This is no longer going on, as far as I know. Anyways, Taro, hello. Did you have a nice dinner? No, good. I'm glad. Was it kibble? Was it a kibble? She did have kibble. Spoiler alert, it was kibble. Come on. Come on the camera. You know you wanna. Anyway, so now this is who this is. Gonna be talking to Aubrey and releasing him of all sin from, the mistakes of the past 2 months. Okay, here we go. Who is Aubrey Marcus really? Ex-fiance, sacred confessional with Caitlyn Howe. Comments are on this one at this point. There's over almost 1,000 comments. And a lot of people seem to be like spiritual and like, hey, this is still wrong. That's what it seems to be. Like the top comment is, Aubrey, maybe at this point you should consider putting me on your marketing team, or better yet, as a spiritual advisor. Because honestly, your current circle, your advisors, payroll friends, PR crew, they're digging a deeper hole for you. This isn't an attack. It's feedback from the very community that helped build your platform. The people who trust values and lived experiences are being challenged. We're speaking up not to tear you down, but because something feels off, and integrity matters. Please don't dismiss our concerns as cruelty. What we're responding to is the distortion of sacred teachings, where excess money, excess sex, excess plant medicine, and excess ego glamour are packaged as spirituality. That's not the path many of us resonate with. And that bubble you're in, it's getting harder to watch without saying something. Now, Aubrey would probably say, how dare you attack me in a completely unnecessary and hurtful, painful way. How unfair of you. Anyways, let's see. I'm assuming it's going to be 2 hours of self-glazing and his ex-fiance glazing him as well. But let's see. Let's be open-minded. Let's let the crown chakra open wide for this. I'm ready. We know about the volume, by the way.
Firstly, I want to acknowledge that we're dropping this podcast in the midst of a chaotic world situation. There are riots, there are wars, there are challenges that are enormous beyond our comprehension. And in this podcast,
we still felt it necessary to talk about my three-pronged polyamorous relationship, because that's what really matters at the end of the day, right?
Asking very personal questions. We're talking about the way that the podcast that I did with Vailana, Alana, and Dr. Gaffney, how that had rippled out into the collective and the impact that that's had and the questions that that's caused me to ask myself. Who am I? What am I here to do? What is really in my shadow? What is...
Oh, also, if you don't remember from the last podcast, the two most important parts and the funniest parts about this whole thing is that he claims he got a download from God, source energy, whatever. I don't know how he referred to it. I think he said God in his podcast, that's told him to get on Raya right now and you're going to find someone important. And then he opened the app and then the first person was ugly. So he's like, no. And then the second person was Alana. So that was divinely ordained, obviously, is the implication there. And the second thing, after they're already in a relationship, him, Vailana, and Alana go to Egypt to do a trip or whatever. And he's in the pyramid. And then Isis, the goddess Isis from Egypt, told him, you need to impregnate Vailana and Alana. And Vailana was not cool with that. And she still is not cool with that, to be honest. Like, she has, in the podcast, was in tears over this revelation. So that's what people were responding to mostly. I don't think anyone really cares if he's in a polyamorous relationship. It's all the other stuff. And it's how the women were responding, specifically his wife, Vailana, who was crying multiple times in the podcast. But okay, here we go.
Really going on underneath the surface. This is the most raw and vulnerable podcast I've ever released. And so
That's what he said last time also.
You to all of you for following the story. And I'm happy to have my best friend in the whole wide world, Caitlin Howe, with me to share this story. Caitlin Howe, here we are.
I'm in Marcus. We're back.
Her microphone's been turned off because it sounds really bad. He's like, I only really need to hear myself here. So we turned your mic off and we're just going to use the ambient noise off of my microphone because this doesn't sound like it's working, just so you know. Asari Shepherd, thank you so much, Asari Shepherd. Asari says, the message from God is what Aleister Crowley did. Why does that sound familiar? Should I know who that is? Aleister Crowley picks up the rice in the church. Okay, that's different. Sorry, this is what I have to say to you. You ready for this? Don't be mad.
I don't find anything funny.
Just kidding. Don't be mad again.
We're gonna come and eat your children.
Did you hear that, kitty? Okay, finally.
Fuck all men.
Amen, sister. Okay, thanks, Asari.
We're back. This has been an intense month. You've been my friend for 2 decades now. We were wild.
He's got a knee tattoo. Interesting.
Wild and passionate partners. You're my fiance, and you've been friends with every partner that I've been with since and known them well. In some cases, even best friends like you are with Vailana now.
Well, she was also best friends with Whitney. What? This woman's a red flag, right? That's weird. You're best friends with your ex-fiance's girlfriend once, not once, but twice. Seek help. What's going on?
And so I guess the first question I want to ask you is, how has this been for you to see everything that's been going on?
It's been, this experience this past few weeks has absolutely...
Oh my God, her microphone literally is not working. It sounds horrible in my headphones. Asari says, Crowley was around a century ago and started his own new age cult thing, including sleeping with multiple women. Well, there you go. That's every cult. That's every cult we've ever seen. It always ends up like that. The leader is a man, and oh, dang, you have to sleep with me and have my children, followers. And you have to be hot as a bonus.
We're not a cult.
No, we're not a cult.
Right? Are you?
Why does this sound cult every second?
Good questions. Okay, back to it. Huck to it.
Broken my heart.
He's already crying.
Really has.
I told you. These people are so self-obsessed.
I beside you for many years walked a path of tremendous enthusiasm.
They cry not for war, but for online criticism. These people are insane.
For humanity and for possibility, for healing, with a big fire of compassion in my heart.
That's what she's doing right now.
And it's been
So slow.
really crushing to see just everything that I've seen from behind the scenes of your life.
It's just too much. I can't take it already. People didn't love you and weren't like, oh my God, you're the freaking rawest guy in the world. That's the only thing that's happened here. People were not overtly supportive of his beliefs. Wow, welcome to the club, dude. And they're crying. It's crazy.
The deep, personal, earnest devotion in every single way that you've poured yourself into service for this planet. And to watch what's been the most difficult side of human nature be unleashed on you and sharing your story and opening up your heart. And I was nervous to come on today because I never understood until this month how vulnerable it truly is to put yourself out there and share personal stories in the ways that you do on these shows and in your work and your writing.
It's almost like shutting the frick up would help everybody. It would help all this go away. Keep your beliefs to yourself and don't parade it around town like it's godly advice. That would probably fix everything, actually, Caitlin. Asari says, Crowley also did the God message in Egypt. Interesting. Was he in a pyramid? Was it from Isis? Because that would be a coinkydink. Am I right?
It's so quantum. I'm a big time hippie and I'm very woo woo.
They are grifters.
True. Okay.
And
It
has really shocked and shaken my system to feel like I know you so well, to know that I know you so well, to know that I know your good heart, and to see.
I don't see a gosh darn tear coming out of her eye either. This is all performative crying. It's amazing. Every time I see a podcast, the tears magically gets stuck in the eye duct, the tear duct. It doesn't come out. It must be a podcast thing.
The kinds of slander that's been placed upon your head over the past few weeks, and to feel like, I feel like I'm in a unique position. There's a little bit of fear of, I'm going to, come out and open my heart now after watching all of this viciousness and share some of my story and hold you through this process of getting to share a little bit more of yours. But I am the best person to do this because I know you on a level that most people will never get to see. And I've known you for 18 years. And
why'd you guys break up? I really they're probably not going to answer it, but I really need to know. If he's this amazing, why are you guys not together if you were formerly engaged? I'm curious.
It really feels like a member of my family is hurting, and I feel it every day. And I think that's something that people don't think about when they attack the image of another human being that they've never met, or that they feel like they understand from a tiny sliver of a perspective that they get from something like a podcast, is how many people who love them, who are standing beside them, who are their family, get hurt in those same arrows of pain that are cast. And I feel...
He's going to do another chorus. From arrows to Eros, my story, my triumphant return in his next podcast.
both the fear and the sacred duty to step forward and speak to the person that I know and stand with you. So it's been really hard. It's been really hard. Yeah.
And that's been one of the hardest.
It's been hard for her. So she's someone that makes someone else's problems about herself too. So she'll fit. I understand why they were together at one point. Oh, you went through a controversy in your life? That was really hard for me. So silly.
This parts for me is that, I've been in.
This is his other ex-fiance. He's had two at least. And this one, what used to be best friends with his first ex-fiance and now is best friends with his current wife. And apparently, according to this comment from Dustin says, I want to point out that Caitlyn is engaged to one of Aubrey's biggest fans. Wonder how he feels about this. That's interesting. Who's that? I'm curious. Let me know.
In positions before where I've been attacked and for different things in different ways, but nothing that's reached this level of volume and kind of just the meanness that people have shared, and to think about those who love me like yourself. And I think about my mama too, and like having people cackling and being like, Aubrey Marcus is a garbage human. And I think about her like holding my feet and how we've loved each other since the fucking beginning and never wavered.
What? Your mom held your feet? Get off the internet, dude. This is like, if you cannot take criticism, then don't go and post your entire life. Like, I have zero sympathy. I'm sorry. There's so many ways to avoid this type of like humiliation. Also, take the video down. How about that? That would probably help. But he's like, no, I look cool at the same time having multiple girlfriends, and I need that. But I also don't want anyone to criticize it. It's like, okay, Jesus.
And just, I'm grateful that she's not,
Alive?
on the internet in the way that all my dear friends are. But I think about
his poor mother's not on the internet, but she's holding his feet since the beginning.
you and, of course, my beloved wife Vi and Alana and everybody who loves me, and just think like how hard that is, because I know how hard it would be for me, like if people were coming at you like this, like try and hold me back.
That's how it felt.
Like fucking try and hold me back,
Two narcissists sitting in a dimly lit room. That's what we're witnessing right now, just so we all know. Dustin says, Eric Godsey, he's a coach at Aubrey's Fit for Service, whatever the hell that means. Yeah, so Fit for Service is like Aubrey's company. This is how he's giving back to humanity, charging people $3,000 to go to a retreat in Malibu and like do breath work and have a feather be placed on your head while you do like mushrooms or something. That's what his whole shtick is, by the way. So that's interesting. Thank you for clarifying that, Dustin.
Like, I don't know how I could do it.
I think about it every day.
Seek help, lady. What the hell is your problem? This is like not your business at this point. And also, he's a grown man who made a choice. You both can get over it. Oh my God. It's literally as if someone killed his child in cold blood. And on the internet, they're like live streaming that over and over. That's how dramatic they are acting. Like as if like that's what's happened. to me. I'm like, that's crazy. Like, that's the amount of drama they're bringing to this dumb conversation. Yikes.
And it's, one of the things that really broke me down also is like, at first, this has been incredibly painful to see the way that the venom has come towards you. But as I tuned in with Alana, feeling her an aspiring poet, and already she is a poet. She just, is still in the process of bringing forward her work, and she's a very private person, and she did a brave thing by coming on and talking about this, intimate structure. And when I reached out to her to check in with her, just feeling, her devastation at feeling like she didn't get a chance to be seen. And there's
we actually saw her for 2 hours. I think she was greatly seen. I think it's because people saw what was going on and felt like this is awkward. That's what they're not liking. They didn't like that. People weren't like, this is such a sacred union. You're right. Oh my God, this is the evolution of love. They're like, oh, they disagree. We can't handle. That's the thing. These people do so many cleansing ceremonies. These people do so many healing journeys with drugs and travel the world and go to Burning Man and have all these eccentric experiences. They can't handle one negative comment. Their whole world falls apart. They are in tears over mild criticism. You need to go back and get more, frog darts or whatever, because this isn't how normal people would react to this. I'm sorry. They go, hey, it's my choice, my life. You don't agree with it. Okay, move on. I'm going to do my thing. Not a 2-hour follow-up. Crying about it. Anyways, Samantha, thank you so much. Samantha Wellbrock, thank you for being here. Samantha says, he looks like he's about to burst into laughter. This is like an SNL skit. Yeah, I wish there was like more comedy in the wellness space, because it's too like counterculture to be anywhere like big like that. But I wish there was like a Mad TV version of like spiritual stuff, because it would be very funny.
This is so good.
That would be me.
Buzzing with joy.
That'd be me. Oh, this is a throwback to yesterday. I could not find it. Here it is.
I want to go to Denny's with you.
That's for you, Samantha. Thank you. All right, back to it.
Sorrow in that. And I've heard, we've sat in circle with our dear friends. We've had lots of conversations about the best way to walk through this moment. Is it something, a lot of people handle controversy like this and slander like this and in the public perspective by just not addressing it and turning away and not saying and not giving it any attention or energy. And that's a very valid way to cope and to handle it. And there might be some, intelligence to that for sure. And I felt you doing your very best to get to that place of like, I don't care what people think about me. But at the end of the day, I think that something dies a little bit when we stop caring. Mm-hmm. And in our heart of hearts, human beings, we deeply want to be understood. We deeply want to be understood.
Being understood and being universally loved and worshipped are two different things. And what these people want is universal love and worship, because no one is saying like, we're going to kill you for this. Like they may claim that. I have not seen that. I've heard more like base takes, which is like, it looks like the women in your life are not happy and are crying, and that you could be more comforting to them. This is the opposite of what you said. This is hypocritical. You're using God as like a justification for all this behavior that is toxic and like not probably good for everybody. And okay, let's see what happens in 2 years. That seems like, again, pretty simple advice and thoughts. But I guess that's just too much. That's too much for some people. Asari Shepherd, thank you so much, Asari, as always. Asari says, I've been called every name to my face and had to deal with it. They need to grow a thicker skin or vanish like the rest of us plebs. Yes.
Priceless, juicy nuggets.
I agree. People say stuff, and it's in comments, so it's like whatever, but people say stuff to me all the time, and it's like, oh, about my looks, or I look old, or I have this or that, a mustache, whatever. It's like, if I just like did a 2-hour podcast for every negative comment, we would never get anything done. So it's not like they're the only ones getting any hate for stuff. If you have a hot take, people are going to have things to say about it. Again, take the video down or just do something else. This is not for everybody. You do need to have thick skin. I agree.
You are privileged AF.
And he's like a multi-millionaire. Like, just fucking cry about it in your Lamborghini. Shut up. Okay, anyways. Thank you. Sorry.
And so feeling this just so suddenly personally aware of the fallout and the collateral damage of these sort of phenomenon where people, get into sort of a mob mentality and find a story that justifies what feels to me like bullying, no matter how powerful that person might seem or how justified it might feel. It brought up a lot for me also with...
Yeah, criticism is bullying. That's the new wellness hot take. Anyone not overtly licking my balls is it's bully. That's what I say. I'm getting that tattooed in my forehead.
My personal history, which is, when I was young, when I was about 12 years old in middle school, I was bullied by groups of girls for being a slut. And I'd never even kissed a boy. And they would surround me. And
what does this have to do with anything? Caitlin, get a grip. When I was born, I cried. Okay? How is this relevant to anything? Alif Madison. Thank you so much. Alif says, I love your takes. Glad I caught this live. Oh, thanks. If you said you didn't love my takes, I would be in tears. So good comment. Really love that. Speaking of, where's that? Dang.
We're best friends.
That's for you.
Great comment. That's really cute. I love that.
That was what I was looking for.
Oh, this is really good for me.
One time, I fell down the stairs when I was 7. So I feel your pain. Talking to an amputee. Like, I understand. Okay, sorry.
And
thank you.
Call me names. And it viscerally lights a fire in my body where it's like, no, I want to stand up against this. And not with force and not with the same energy, but with the torch of compassion. That's like, we have got to do better than this by each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what they called me in middle school? A white bitch and a prude lesbian. So I relate to Aubrey as well.
Yeah. I mean, this phenomenon of just putting a label on someone to negate the nuance of their humanity, whether it's slut or narcissist or whatever you want to call somebody, or, conspiracy theorist, or you can count the names by a dozen, but you...
Oh, yeah, as if they don't do the same thing. Like, if you don't get a vaccination, they call you like an idiot, and they call you like dirty, and they call you all these things. If you get one, like, they're like, oh my God, how stupid of a person. If you eat seed oils, they're calling you like, sheep. Okay, it's like everyone has criticisms about everyone. Just, again, get over it. Or if you can't handle it, get off the internet.
You label somebody and then you negate their humanity, and it's the cause for every witch hunt, every inquisition, every war, every atrocity is this idea that you can completely negate the humanity of another person by ascribing them to a label that contains them in their entirety.
There you go.
And it's part of the propaganda that's allowed people to go to war from the beginning. And then the moment that, why it's so subversive like that.
His situation.
Christmas Day in World War, where they were playing soccer, the Allies and the Germans were playing soccer with each other. And like, that's so subversive because then they realize that they're just kids. They're just...
What the hell are you talking about? In Germany, they played soccer in World War II, and this is relevant how? What is he saying?
Kids like that want to play soccer. And like as soon as we recognize humanity, like all of the vitriol starts to stop. But if as
That
long
reminds me of Christmas when I was in middle school. I also played soccer.
as someone's left-wing extremist, right-wing Nazi, whatever you want to call it, and it's not that there aren't movements or things that need to be fought against, like the Ku Klux Klan, for example. Like, yeah, all right, it's fucked up. Like, we need to fight against anybody who identifies with that type of ideology. But at the same time, we have to understand like the unique human prism underneath that. Like, this is the evolution of consciousness that we need. And the irony of this whole thing is that it's come from within what you would, in quotations, call the spiritual community, who are acting in the opposite way that any true spirituality is. Old spirituality, like Lakota spirituality, aho, mitaku, yeo, yasin, we are all related. Like, hello?
Again, you don't believe in community trying to help you? Like, is that not a possibility that's crossed through his mind? That the spiritual community, like, collectively sees there's something wrong here? That they see that this is an error? Like, I read that comment in the beginning, and it seemed like, again, pretty, like, low-key and someone expressing concern. Could that not be a possibility? And his answer is no. It's definitely, like, war and humanity and that's out to get them. It's like, okay, that's one way to look at this. Hawkbit Tua, Hawkbit 37, picked a banana peel. Hey, banana peel.
This is actually legit.
A banana peel is actually legit. And also?
A quote from my Insta.
And also, in addition?
I like winning more than I like sitting on the beach.
And finally?
What up, homie?
There you go. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello?
Yeah.
What happened to the basic tenets? And also, like, that doesn't preclude the deep compassion that I have for people who've been through a lot of pain and trauma, like especially the women. There's a lot of women who've been through a lot of pain and trauma. And, you're one of them. When I met you, you were in a relationship where you were experiencing a lot of pain and trauma, or coming out of it. I don't remember the exact details, but
on the way out.
On the way out.
Not out.
And then subsequently have had your own further experiences, and those details are not important.
Very many, yeah.
But what's important is to just recognize that, like, I get it.
His famous phrase is, the details are not important, and yet we're here for 2 hours, and no detail is important to him about anything.
Like, men have been shitty. Women have also been shitty. I remember when my college girlfriend cheated on me with one of my best friends, and I remember how fucking devastating that was and how it hooked me in this desire to continually prove myself as worthy. And then she would keep, her infidelities and her own manipulative strategies to keep me hooked in. And I was...
Get her in the podcast. I want to hear her takes on this. And it's also like, okay, so you got cheated on, so therefore what? Therefore what? Like, we can't have an opinion as a collective audience that you're trying to monetize?
Made me insane. Yeah. So it's not like it's only men that have hurt people. Of course, there's, we share in the responsibility. The infidelity numbers are not just men cheating on women. It's also women cheating on men. And that's only one vector of the type of, challenging situations.
And that's only what's being reported,
For sure.
Who's reporting this to what? Also, they always reference like the cheating studies. Okay, where did this come from? I don't think these studies are very accurate, I would guess, statistically.
Sure.
Not that it's a laughing matter, but it's just there's so much complexity to the interior human experience. And that gets completely lost as soon as we put a label on somebody, especially when that label is coming with...
Oh, maybe like healer, maybe light worker. Those are labels that I think are actually more harmful to the humanity than narcissist when you are one.
The charge of and this is not to say that we shouldn't speak what we're feeling or what we're seeing, of course. There's a value that you're working through of having certain things reflected to you that's helping you really drop in and say, okay, what are my blind spots? What am I not seeing? And what I'm sitting here for today is for you, because I love you, absolutely. And also because it feels I'm passionate about all of us taking extra discerning steps at this time when the collective is going through so much shock and disorientation, and there's lots of global strife and helplessness and frustration and anger. And it's so easy to discharge that energy onto somebody else once they have a label. And it is imperative, I think, right now that we stop and take a breath and rehumanize the people individually that we are aiming our energy at, and really drop in and reconsider the mystery and the beautiful complexity of the interior human soul. And, I feel like I got a bit paralyzed in this because of taking those steps. There was certainly a fighter in me that wanted to immediately stand up and charge. And
shout out Dr. Mark, the other problematic man that was on the last podcast.
Holy and broken hallelujahs. And there's nothing more whole than a broken heart.
I'm missing his amazing additional content at this moment.
Kind of bite back.
Because right now we're just talking about middle school beliefs and bullies that were 13 years old.
And that's an impulse I think we all have when our values feel threatened. So I was able to feel...
Or one of our beloveds.
Beloveds feel threatened. Right. Totally. Our family. Totally. But what I was able to do was kind of pause and recognize, okay, if I react in certain ways that my impulses are telling me to, I'm falling into the same pattern.
Same level of consciousness that created the problem in the first place.
Yes.
And, there's a primal impulse, and this impulse gave rise to the name scapegoat, because a scapegoat used to be a sacrificial ritual where they would place all of the evil and all of the free-floating anxiety that the culture was feeling onto a goat.
What culture? Can we get a little specific? I know he hates specifics, but when he says the culture, I'm just curious as to which culture he's referencing here that came up with the scapegoat. So in this parallel, he's the scapegoat, right? A scapegoat for what, though? A scapegoat for what? Will they ever tie the thread together? Doubtful. We'll see.
And then they would slaughter that goat. And then with the slaughtering of that goat, it would temporarily assuage this free-floating anxiety because they would feel like they killed the evil. But the scapegoating impulse was also part of all the public hangings and all the public burnings and all of this. It was like, let's put all the evil onto this. And then crowds just cheering as people were tortured, because...
Oh, he knows how it feels. He knows how it feels to be tortured. You guys, you don't understand. His college girlfriend was a cheater. He has been tortured and burned at the stake alive for his beliefs his whole life. You don't get it.
There's this primal impulse to externalize the discomfort you're feeling within, place it on an animal or a person or a group of people, and then scapegoat them and then destroy them. But it's only a temporary solution. It will never actually...
Can you believe that people killed him and that he somehow resurrected himself and still has a platform to deliver this message beyond the ether? This is crazy. He is God, actually. He is a god.
Address the deeper issues that you feel. It works for a hot minute. It's like a pseudo solution.
And also the deep subconscious awareness that you're actually affecting harm and participating in violence, whether that's psychological, emotional, or physical violence. I think about the essence of what's happening a lot of the time in culture when we find somebody who has enough evidence to seem like they're worthy of taking that position and being the one that gets scapegoated for something that, is a collective pain point, is a big wound, is a trauma point for a lot of people. As soon as we start to do that, we start to participate in the same pattern of conscious response that people were using when they went on those witch hunts, when they went and did those rituals with these living beings. And I think about the deep effect, deep down, maybe on the surface to the conscious mind at that point in time, that felt like it was relieving some kind of collective or tribal frustration. Maybe it was creating a sense of peace or...
Okay, here's my prediction, just from hearing her speak now for 20 minutes. I think Aubrey broke up with her because that's what she said in the Instagram post, that Whitney came in as the girlfriend after her, and she was the fiance, and then Whitney came in as the girlfriend and then became the second fiance, or like the next in line. I think Aubrey broke up with her, and this is her life goal, to get back with him. Because this is bizarre. What are you doing, girl? And I do agree. I saw the comment. I also like this cup. It reminds me of a cup I have from the dollar store. Okay.
Or, a perception of safety in the community, if it was a witch hunt or whatever. But deep down in the subconscious, in the body, we, human beings have carried the wound of remorse and guilt and sorrow for participating in those kinds of torture without trial, without due process.
Right.
And I was watching.
Yeah, these are the people who need due process in America right now. Aubrey Marcus and other spiritual gurus who have podcasts and blast out their, beliefs to people. Those are the true people that need due process, not the people going to El Salvador on a daily basis. What a stance to take! My God,
watching that, it might sound extreme to compare these things, but that's really one of the first things I thought of with this, because a lot of the accusations and name calling that I saw happening was coming from people that I regarded as spiritual leaders or spiritual, teachers at least. And I was watching this kind of feeling like, well, this is, in the witch hunt, nobody cared if the witch was really guilty. They just wanted to see the witch burn. And that broke my heart.
Throw her in the river, and if she swims, she's not a witch. Or if she swims, she is a witch. And if she drowns, she's not a witch.
Oh, she wasn't a witch.
So either way, she's dead.
Yeah.
So who's the witch in this scenario? I don't understand the story. Who's the witch? So they're saying back in Salem, I guess they're referencing, I'm assuming, in the culture. I don't know. They don't name it. They don't want to get into details. That other witches were burning other witches because they're saying it was all in the same community, and their community of spiritual leaders are against them. So, but what? Is anyone following anymore? Because I'm lost.
Yeah, and we've got to stop this.
If she swims, she burns, and if she drowns, she's innocent. But oh well,
yeah, God rest her soul.
Yeah, and that was literally one of the trials, and this is.
Literally.
I mean, this is hyperbolic, and it's not to, ultimately what's happening to me. The pitchforks are made of pixels, and, the arrows are made of letters. So we're fortunate we're in.
Dude, hear yourself, dude. The pitchforks are made of pixels. The arrows are made of letters. So stop bitching and shut off the internet. What are you doing? Cancel your Spectrum. Then all of this will go away. That was the funniest line I've ever heard in my life. Oh my God. This is more humorous, honestly. The last one was more frustrating. This one is funny.
We're in a different time. There's not a mob of angry people, who are going to put me and tie me to a stake and then light me on fire slowly. Like, that's not actually going to happen. And the fact that did happen is one of the darkest elements of our human history possible. Mm-hmm. In this story, though, you have the unique position. And also, I've had to come to the point where,
this is hilarious.
Yes, I care about what people think about me. And also, I can't care that much. I have to be willing to play the sacrificial scapegoat.
Oh, he cares quite a lot. He cares quite a lot about what people think. He's comparing people's opinions to being burned alive. Okay, that's how much he cares. Okay, here we go. I went back a second because I cut it off.
Care that much. I have to be willing to play the sacrificial scapegoat if that's what's necessary, because maybe for some it'll be the mirror that reflects it. And like, am I willing to do that? Am I willing to be the devil for some? Because ultimately that role, may be necessary for what their own karmic evolution needs.
His having 2 girlfriends and banging multiple women and changing the dynamics over time is for the greater good of you. I love it. Love it so much. I love it. Oh, Lord. I love it.
Big facts.
Oh, God, I can't get enough.
So my peace, which is hard fought and I'm still working at it every day, my peace comes with like a greater understanding that perhaps I do need to play this role for now. And at the same time, like I also want to
He's such a servant leader.
help those who are willing to see what's been going on in their own mind, and so that they can travel this evolutionary path, what they've believed in their own, metacognition, their own, information gathering, their own epistemological process of how they get to know what they know.
I'm a pistical, logical. I'm a pissed and a logical. That's me.
And so in this story, like, tell your experience about us getting together.
Yeah.
What it was like to be with me. I'm young.
Tell the world, please, that I'm not an asshole. Please. I'm being burned at the stake. Please tell them I'm not a jerk off, even though I am. Okay. I want to know. How was it like to be with me? What a fucking podcast. Podquest? Should I start a new revolution called Podquest? Podcast question. I love it. Okay, I want to hear.
Like, tell your experience about us getting together.
Yeah.
What it was like to be with me. I'm young. I'm dumb. I'm wild.
Okay.
But like, who's Chris Marcus? And again, I changed my name from Chris to Aubrey right around the time that we were splitting when I first did my ayahuasca. But I was Chris Marcus back then.
I honestly think, I thought about this after the last time we talked. He did that 100% for that pyramid logo that he has. He did that for aesthetics, because CM would not be as pyramid shaped. So he's like, I need to change my name. Oh my gosh, my middle name's Aubrey. I could be a pyramid, Aubrey Marcus. Perfect. I feel like it doesn't go deeper than that, but okay.
Still the same person. I just went by my middle name after that. But what was it like to be with Chris Marcus?
Yeah, I just want to say, I hope people who are listening and watching this will feel the truth of my heart and my body as they share these things. We did not even get to have a drop-in conversation before this podcast. And I was like, oh, I want to do right by this opportunity to talk about this, because it is so personal and it's sacred to me.
Oh, just get to the frickin' juice, lady.
I had a thriving wild stallion of Eros.
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
Breast.
Thanks, Mark. From beyond the pale.
And I want people out there to understand that I'm very proud. I'm very proud of our relationship. And that's what...
She needs more Visine, because there ain't no tears coming out of this lady's eyes either. Caitlin. Sorry, I keep calling her lady. At least it's not girl. I've gotten a little better with that. Right? Validate me, please.
It makes me so angry. Because to disgrace relationship with you...
He's in tears. He's crying hysterically. What is going on? I'm sorry. I can't stop laughing.
I'm very proud. I'm very proud of our relationship. And that's what makes me so angry. Because
I can't.
to disgrace relationship with you is a disgrace.
He got another girlfriend. Oh my God.
It's to one of the things I'm the most proud of in my entire life.
Seek help. Seek some better self-worth, Caitlin. What the fuck?
And that's the truth. And I know to the marrow of my bones that that's not an illusion. It has been a hard-won, precious.
She's insane.
Precious treasure of my path and hard-won. You know, I could have absolutely chosen the path of distance when we separated to soften the pain of separation.
Yeah, he definitely broke up. He had ayahuasca. He goes, I need 20 women, actually. I've seen the other side of the world now. I need multiple girlfriends. I'm young. And she has not gotten over it yet. That's what's going on here. He's like, how was it like being with me? She's like, I'm so proud of being broken up with you. Oh my God.
And I didn't. And I want to tell as many people who have the hearts to listen.
Oh, I
why.
got the heart. I got the heart, baby.
I met
Get your
you,
hearts ready.
Aubrey. I met you when I was about 23 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And we've told this story already on podcasts, so we won't spend too long on it. It's out there, but...
what was I, 27 then?
20. You were 25.
I was 25.
You're 25. You were young. Maybe even, God, because they were 2 years apart. So, yeah, you were 25. And
Hey, she looks good. She's in her 40s. She looks great.
Give him this. He is
I'm sure it's all natural for sure. I'm sure it's all just herbal teas.
Charismatic. And he has been since the drop. And he has been since before he, made the On It money and all those things. All of that wasn't even an idea yet. He had a marketing company and he was flashy then, you guys. He was like, this is not, I giggle and sneer at the same time at the spiritual materialism kind of like arrows. And it's like, the man likes nice things. He likes some nice things and he's been that way probably since you came out of the womb. But you were brooding, emotional, charismatic, magnetic, generous, and romantic. And he courted me, and it was, looking back, I'm 42 years old now, and looking back, it was a blessing. It was a totally new world getting to fall in love with Chris Marcus and have our first date be in Las Vegas and all of this, and it was a wild ride of goodness. Like, I remember, when we met, he
loves Vegas apparently because him and Vailana got married in Vegas by Elvis. So their first date was in Vegas. He just likes women. That's what it sounds like. He likes women and he likes to do the same things with the same women and he likes to keep them close and have relationships with them, but he's also bored really fast and he wants to be with other women. That seems to be his MO. And again, do whatever you want, but it's not spiritually superior to monogamy. I'm sorry to say.
Had any ayahuasca yet? There's so many funny things that have popped out of this current trendy conversation about, doing too much psychedelics or whatever. And so it's just, I laugh at these
But
things.
I was doing psychedelics. I mean, I started when I was 18.
You were.
At that point, I was 7 years deep into, and I actually did ayahuasca once. It just didn't do anything except make me poop. That's, so I don't count it as the...
Oh, okay. So this is a longer problem than we originally thought. Okay, that's good. That's helping your case for sure. That's making people who said, hey, this is a case of too many psychedelics, that's really making their case much stronger. Actually, I started when I was 18. So those people are wrong. I've actually done more than they knew. Okay.
first time because it didn't really affect me.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was a more sporadic thing. You know, it was certainly like,
because I lost contact with my first shaman who brought me through journeys when I was 18, 19, 20, 21, and then we kind of
Okay, so everything he said that she thought when he was okay. So you guys don't know each other at all. So she's like, you hadn't even taken ayahuasca yet, and when you took ayahuasca for the first time is the reason you broke up with me. Okay, that's kind of the narrative they've laid so far. And now he's like, well, no, I took when I was 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, but I didn't feel anything until I did it when I was 25 and it told me to break up with you. That's why it was important. Okay? Girl, open your ear chakra. Listen to what he's saying right now.
just went our separate ways, and then I was on my own path of exploration.
Yeah, I still remember you teaching me what chi was. That was like my first step into my, spiritual exploration. I was a bartender and a model, and I was just like living the good life in the sacred profane, all of that. And it was a real beautiful first magnificent love. I got to travel out of the country for the first time. You're very mature. We sincerely, I actually think you remember us fighting more than I remember us fighting. To me, I could probably recall on one hand in nearly 6 years together, fights that stood out. That was not characteristic of our relationship. We had a really powerful synergy, and you were generous with me. And one thing I will say is that's very distinctive about you between other people that I've dated is you never, ever
kissed me,
tore me down.
Oh.
You never tore me down.
There's other people out there that also won't do that. That's not just Aubrey in this world. Okay. India. Thank you so much, India. India says, such a huge fan and so excited to join live. You are the best. Oh my gosh. Once again, if you were to say something negative, I would have to start just bawling my eyes out, crying an ocean, which is a soundbite that I have on my computer but have not loaded into my soundbite machine yet. That came from the Ace Family podcast. Anyways, instead, I will say this.
And I was miserable staring out at my pool.
What about this?
I feel more at home in suffering and pain.
That's what Caitlin is saying right now during this podcast. And India, final thoughts? Here you go. Thank you. Okay, back to it. Huck to it.
Constantly invited me to see how magnificent I was. You constantly called forward the queen in me, very literally. You'd make me vision boards of my so I could see you made me an altar, and you made me a vision board for my queen, and wrote me poetry and surprised me and did so many things that I never experienced that level of
an altar. You don't think that's a little far, a little bizarre behavior, ma'am? Okay, so where's the downfall? What happened? Why'd they break up? I need to know now.
Of honor, really. And always celebrated me, always put me on the pedestal. There was no icky, oh, if I got too big, you had to, make me feel less than. Never. Not even when we split, which was definitely one of the most painful and challenging experiences of my life. But even then, and we can explore the details of all of that if that feels like where we want to go with this. But even then,
get some dignity, girl. Come on. Oh, I said it. I'm screwed up. Get some dignity, lady.
And I will say I distinctly remember, and I don't know if I've shared this on a previous podcast when we talked about our journey, but I remember standing in the parking lot one of the last times I saw you before I left on my own odyssey, which turned into my dark night of the soul and just a wild adventure that I would never trade for anything, by the way. I remember you saying, Caitlin, you're the best of the best. Go out there and light up the world.
I gotta call my girlfriend. He's like, be the best of the best. Bye-bye. On his phone on Raya, immediately swiping away. Calling his other wife on the phone. Finally, she's gone. I only love you now. And then 10 days later, he's like, I gotta go out again. God told me something else.
Still true? Still true?
And
oh, she wants to join the harem so bad. She's like, you're taking applications? I didn't know that you had open spaces. I'm here, baby. I'm here. I'm back. Remember you told me how great I was back in 1994? I'm still available if you're still interested. Sorry. That was a possession. I'm a witch. Throw me in the river.
yeah, and I was pissed. I was like, whatever. Bye. So it wasn't like, but I carried it with me in the dark, in some of the darkest environments. And I don't mean this to shame any region. I love Las Vegas forever, like a piece of my heart. I love Hollywood in an artistic way. As a writer, I love it. But one thing that happened for me, comparatively to maybe what happens for a lot of people when they go through big breakups that are super painful, is by contrast, when I got into the ordinary world, so to speak, if you think about like the hero's journey kind of frame, I went out into the wild. Like, I'm going to go, bye, I'm pissed. You and Whitney have a nice new relationship. I was really like, well, oh my God, I'm going to go out into I don't know what to do. Everything's.
Do y'all not recognize patterns? If you take ayahuasca, do you just not see patterns anymore? You've seen so many patterns in your mind while you're on the drug that like you no longer see patterns anymore? Because how clear could this be? This is exactly his pattern. He's with someone, he love bombs them, he gets with someone else, they break up. This then happened to Whitney. Then this happened to Vailana. It's going to happen to Alana. This is the pattern of this guy's whole MO. How do they not see it? They're like, no, this is sacred. No, this is textbook, actually.
So different. It's so shocking. I'm going to go have my own adventure. And I got out there into the world and I was like, damn, people are, a lot of people are so dishonest. And so objectifying of women and treating me so badly. And all I knew from being with you was being treated right. He
manipulated you. You still got left. You still got broken up with for another woman. He just tricked you into thinking it was divine.
With respect, being treated like a queen. And it was...
Yikes.
It clarified for me, instead of me writing a story about how bad you were because we broke up, it actually clarified for me, that's an amazing human being. And I don't care if we're in a relationship or not. I want him in my life forever. And that was part of my awakening back to opening my heart again so we could be friends. There's a lot more I could say, but I'll pause there because it's not all about me and my relationship.
Yeah, I mean, we'll advance the story as we go, but I want to talk about a lot of life is about knowing yourself. Know thyself is one of the...
I know him. I could tell you exactly what's going to happen within a year. He's going to find another girlfriend. And the last girlfriend's going to feel like, I thought I was the special one. And it's going to go on and on and on.
First and most important proclamations of any spiritual seeker, know thyself. And during the time that we were together, I knew that I had a large erotic appetite. And we were super open about that.
Oh, yeah.
However, the frame that was in my mind was that it's normal for men to have a large erotic appetite. However, it is abnormal and non-mammalian in our impulse for women to have a large erotic appetite. So while I celebrated you, whatever you were wearing, however you were doing it, standing on the highest table, on the tallest pedestal, and I was just fucking holding up a torch, like, look at her go. Like, always. I was super, like, super loving of that. I didn't have in my mind the frame of polyamory at all.
Mm-hmm.
So what we did was we had an expanded version of our monogamy where we would...
Oh, radical monogamy, maybe? That you said you invented recently? Oh, you've been in this before. Oh, I'm shocked. I'm utterly shocked. Ay, ay, ay. Hawkbit37, a.k.a. Hawkbit2, my favorite username. Hawkbit says, Kia, I love how your, epistemological process synthesizes the sacred and profane. Reminds me of the 675th time I did ayahuasca. That was a good name. Epistemological. That should be my brand name. Epistemological.com. Is that a good brand name?
Yes.
Is it really, really good?
Yeah.
Is it bad?
No.
Okay, thank you. I have to do that once every stream because it's just so appealing. Okay, Hawkbit2, my final thoughts for you.
I done seen people pull a worm out their butt and the worm will break off and the other half of the worm will suck back in their booty hole.
Amen. Okay, thank you.
Have other lovers, female lovers always.
Mm-hmm.
And, we won't name names, but there was other attempted male lovers who'd literally be crawling, like scratching on the door of our bedroom, like a cat that wants to get in and get food when we would have our adventures. And it was beautiful. It was sometimes hard. At the start, it was sometimes hard. But what I felt from you was this just like deep love for me. And also, you're a little bit gay. And so it was mutually.
Turned out it was gay enough.
So it was
gay.
So it was.
She seems uncomfortable that he has said that.
Women are lovely.
Yeah, they are indeed. So it was this thing where it was you loved me and honored me and respected, and you wanted to lavish me with the pleasures that were in my, desirous heart, and actually found great joy in that. And we spread great joy to our lovers. They were like our family. They were like the closest friends to us. And it developed this kind of ohana of people that we were with. And we'd take trips together, and we were all together, and we're still friends, with them.
And he's doing that now with Vailana's boyfriend, other people. They do the same exact thing. He likes to replace them. He's still doing the same stuff. Nothing is sacred to him, ironically.
Like the key players in that story today, like close.
Yeah.
Like forged a level of closeness. But I didn't have in my mind the possibility that, okay, well, maybe this is something that my female partner would want too. I didn't have the framework that maybe I could just go to you and say,
I wonder what they cut out there. That was a jump cut.
Hey, like I'm really feeling something, for Whitney, maybe we could open this.
Great question, Brittany. Why do they all have the same preaching cadence no matter what they're talking about? Narcissism. Spiritual ego.
Up, and maybe you could have other lovers too. And so what happened is we split, which is the typical story. People split.
Mm-hmm.
And I built like a wall out of respect for you, of like, I'll never cross the erotic or intimate wall with you because I love you and I don't want things to be.
I love you so much, I'm going to leave you and never look back. Oh, what a gentleman.
Messy, and I don't want.
I care about you.
And I care about you.
Yeah. It was a clear, energetic boundary that has stayed ever since, and I'm super grateful for that, actually. I think, at the time, there's all sorts of interpretations that we can make. And I will say, and it is natural when heartbreak happens, which is what happens when, there's separation of love or a transformation or a change or a loss. It was a grieving experience for me to lose our romantic relationship, and we were engaged. And, but I will say this. I can say, looking back, that there was a little deep part of me that sensed during our engagement that there was that wasn't quite what, and this is maybe transgressing your agency to say this. I don't know if you felt this or not, but I could sense and kind of brush aside this little awareness that really marriage for you as like, I kind of was like, all right, we've been together 3 years. She just got engaged. Where's my ring? And there was like a little, I don't even know if you remember this.
I didn't really feel that pressure from you, but
yeah,
I want to talk about that because.
But I sensed it wasn't maybe.
You're pointing to something that's true.
Mm-hmm.
And like if
he's been engaged multiple times, married, and is taking on new lovers. I agree. There's some sort of issue here. Like he goes hard, and he broke up with Whitney. So the woman that he left Caitlyn, who's talking now, for, Whitney was the woman he left Caitlyn for. He left Whitney for Vylana and got married to Vylana within like 2 months. Again, a pattern that has repeated more than once in his life.
I'm going to be totally honest.
Finally.
Like there was I'm such a romantic.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd wrote you the engagement poem.
Yep.
I found you the perfect ring, and we were at the perfect house in the perfect place.
The dream house.
Yeah. And it was the perfect time. And I wept and I gave you the ring.
He wept, guys.
And
he wept for her. This is a deeply disturbed man.
I felt like, but there was some part of me that you're speaking to that was like, I hope this works. And I hope that in the giving of this ring, it brings us to another level that will allow an evolution to happen where I will be fully satisfied.
Yeah.
And that's not the reason to give a ring. And so I'm culpable and I'm at fault for that moment, even though I don't regret it because it was beautiful and it was one of like my favorite memories of all time. Like I remember like every second of that.
I wonder what his wife thinks about that. My engagement to my ex-fiance was my favorite moment of all time. Oh, okay. Our wedding was in a good first place for you, sir?
Of that moment where I got on my knee and I proposed to you.
I think they're going to start banging in front of us in the next 15 minutes. Like they're going to start, speaking erotically with their genitalia any second now. I'm feeling a tension building.
So like,
and she's
I've had to look at that. And again, with Whitney, when I did that, it was a similar thing. It was like, I'm giving you a promise, but there's a hidden condition on that is like, I'm making this promise, but I'm doing it in hopes that something will evolve that isn't.
And I did it with Vylana, and I'm going to do it with Alana, and I'm going to do it with the next one.
Quite there yet. And that's, I've had to really deeply come to terms with levels of shame and also like guilt because a wedding ring is a promise. And I got both of those rings back. And I was like, am I like Sauron, the Lord of broken promises and failed rings? Like, is that?
She has no idea what he's talking about. This chick does not know what Lord of the Rings is, okay? I'm just saying. She's like, is that the god of love? He's like, no. It's a movie, actually. That was from a book. I have hairy feet too. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just talking now.
And they call that a bisexual tone.
I should have clicked that button earlier. Sorry.
Is that who I am, And yeah, like I was able to convince myself in those moments, like this is what I want and I believe in this. But if I was really being honest, there was some part of me that wasn't fully reconciled yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for your honesty. And I also knew somehow.
You wrote a poem.
I did. I wrote a poem about your nature. Is it the one about the pirate? Yeah.
It was an old poem.
It was old. No, it was like,
Arg, you going to leave me? Chris, I mean Aubrey, I mean Booty. Find the X on the map where my coochie will be. Okay, sorry. That was good. Wow. I think that was divinely placed in my mind. Amazing.
I knew a man lips wet with rum or something like that. And the end was while we were together. I was such a brave little poet. I'm like, basically, I don't remember it anymore. I wrote it during a college writing class, poetry class. And, but the essence of it, what came through was like speaking to this knowing that was in my intuition that that you weren't really wired to settle down into the white picket fence narrative. And it's kind of heart-wrenchingly ironic because the place we got engaged at was like the ultimate white picket fence house. Totally. It was totally white. Everything was like a storybook. And there was a
white fence, white neighborhood, amazing views, white sand beaches. Okay, sorry.
But we're both, similar creatures in the sense that I think we're both poets. We've talked about this before when our books came out very recently, but I think we both have a little bit of a wild.
I see this little thing on the wall. It's like WWD. What would do? I'm curious as to what that stands for.
Streak that is kind of here in, I'll at least speak for myself, enjoys the wild adventure of life and like really exploring what it means to be here on this planet. Sure. And that
she would much prefer to be living in the dream house, as she said, with Aubrey right now. There's not a bone in my butt, down to my marrow. Do I think if he proposed to her right now and said, I'm ditching all these other ladies, she would say, oh my God, thank you. Please, thank God. I'm so relieved. This is all I've wanted for 18 years.
Happens for you through relationship and through eros or intimate physical intimacy. I know some people out there are real sensitive about the word eros now, but that is what it is. It's eros. It's beautiful, and it is
of eros.
Sorry, I'll click it again.
I had a thriving wild stallion of eros.
Maybe it was the stallion part that was off-putting more so.
It's a path. It's a very, I think something that's important and something that I learned here is ultimately at the end of the day, because when we broke up, there was no platforms. You had barely started your podcast. I think you maybe recorded 2 episodes in your living room at that point or something. But
she's bitter about that. Just
within our community, my family, some of my friends, there was immediately this heartbreak of the broken, fairy tale that we were supposed to be. We represented something to everybody in that chapter of our lives. It was a vision of hope. It was a vision of possibility. And that was heartbreaking for people because their vision broke and their hope broke when we split up. I see some of that happening now in the change of the dynamic with Vi, and that's, for further down the road here. But what I came to evolve through it was a lot of people wanted to make you the bad guy. Once we became friends again, how can you be friends with him? How can you, even think about being friends with him and his new partner?
Again, people trying to look out for her, probably. People in her life, they're like, girl, don't do this to yourself. Don't. Have some dignity. Have some pride. This guy is a manipulator. He's out to get you. He promised you, he proposed to you and then said, actually, I have another chick I want to be with, actually, more. And I don't want to hurt you. I'm going to be honest. It's the only thing I think these women think is every other man lies and this guy is a cheater, but he at least he's honest about it. It's like that the bar is so low. Go find other people. Like there's other people outside of the spiritual community that aren't like this. I promise you.
How can you, even think about being friends with him and his new partner and all of these things? And for me, I really came to a few different determinations. One was like, at the end of the day, I am not interested in monogamy, like holding monogamy around a person who doesn't want that construct anymore. Like it's not something that's interesting to me, really. I want to feel the choice. And if that choice isn't present anymore, that's a gift of honesty, in my opinion. That was a gift of honesty that you gave me, even though it was really uncomfortable. It wouldn't have been a better life for you to swallow and eat your true desires and keep them from me. I wanted the truth.
Okay.
And I've always wanted the truth from every lover and every partner I've had since then. And beyond that, I went on to live in, nightlife in Las Vegas and go through my own, sovereign journeys where I saw all sorts of infidelity and deception. And I don't want to paint the picture that married men are deceptive by any means. I know there are so many wholeheartedly devoted, happily married monogamous men out there and happily committed monogamous men out there. And I also know that there are a lot of people, men and women, who have bound themselves into a commitment, and instead of exploring who they truly are or being honest about who they truly are and being honest about what they really want, have just compartmentalized, hidden that from their partner, and built a relationship of monogamy on top of dishonesty. And that's something that ultimately... Again,
but why does he have to get into the relationship with he lies to the women at first. He knows by this point that he's not into monogamy. Like it's especially at this point, like in real life now, it's been documented quite a lot that he's not a monogamous supporter for his own life, which again is fine. That's why they have polyamory as an option. Many people are polyamorous and are fine with it. This is not a new creation. That's why people were upset that he was calling it like, we've created a new paradigm of relationships. It's an evolution. It's like, dude, this has existed forever. Like, get a grip once again. But he lies to the women, makes them believe that they're the one, proposes to them with poetry, gives them rings, moves in with them, marries them in Vailana's case, and then pulls the rug while they're emotionally attached. That's not nice. That is emotionally manipulative. That's the difference. And I don't think she's seeing it that way because they broke up, but it sounded like he already had a girlfriend, Whitney, who became his fiance. So he did the same exact, he already knew, he went through this experience once with her. Said, I don't want to be monogamous anymore. And she's like, okay, I accept that. And she left. Okay. Then he gets with another woman, becomes monogamous with her. Again, lies, cheats, then says, okay, I want to be polyamorous. Again, it's a repeating cycle. You get the point.
I felt like if I've learned anything from this, I respect the truth. I respect the honest willingness to be vulnerable and say, I'm learning more about myself and I'm called in this direction and this is what I feel. And I'm brave enough to tell you.
And to me, I think, this was an error we made on the podcast when we called it radical monogamy in the field of erotic mystics. It should have been called radical fidelity.
Should have been called polyamory. It should have been called polygamy, possibly. It should have been called polyamory because that's what it is.
Because fidelity is being faithful to the truth, in my opinion, and that's. Doesn't
fidelity mean like it lasts for a long time? Doesn't it mean like fidelity, like it's like long lasting, forever, eternal? Am I wrong? I don't know. We'll look it up.
Really, what this is all about is it's radical fidelity. It's being faithful to the truth. And when I get together with Whit. 18 months were, monogamous-ish. We still had, we had lovers that would join us, but I still didn't have this idea that it was normalized that women may want other lovers too. And that information came to me from reading Dr. Chris Ryan's book, Sex at Dawn. And he talked about all of these different indigenous and concurrent cultures that had a different view, and the bonobos and different other mammalian species. And I was like, oh, maybe it's not just me.
Oh, this will explain my issues where I don't have to take responsibility or change. What a delight. I'm going to write a poem about it.
Me that desires this. Maybe it's okay if my partner desires this. So at that point, I remember I sat down with Whit at our kitchen table and I said, hey, I'm really feeling like I have a polyamorous heart. And like, that's the journey.
He already went through this. I'm Ariana Grande, by the way. He already went through this with Caitlyn. What? I don't know why we're acting like, well, I just discovered this in a book. It's like, you already went through this with a woman. So, and then he went through it again. He's got a short-term memory
that I want to take. And she was like, got it. Fuck you. Go fuck yourself. I'm out. And I was like,
she's going to start crying again. I can't believe you would say that to you. The hottest man in this room in the world. I can't believe you would treat you like that. That bitch.
I'm really sorry to hear that. I'm so, like, breaks my heart, but I totally understand. Then, one day Whitney comes over to the house and, we are out by the pool and our attraction never stopped. And so we were attracted to each other. I was not in a committed other relationship. We were just dating. So after that experience, she was like, all right, I want to give it a try. And I was like, okay, well, so you're free to see other people. I'm free to see other people. This is polyamory. It's not a lot of people doing it. I don't know a lot of information about it, but
I read an entire book about cultures who do it. I hear nothing about it. I don't know anything. I refuse to look. Okay, just to give you some insight, this looks like AI, but I guess it's real. This is the poet queen, aka Caitlyn, and her fiance, who allegedly is someone who works for Aubrey. Okay, here he is. I wonder if he's polyamorous as well. I guess we'll never know. I'm gonna guess. Oh, good. Look at his shirt. Let's start a cult. That's on brand. That is on brand. Okay. There they are. Let's plant a garden. So he likes the ayahuasca too, probably. Okay, I'm just assuming. I don't know anything about this guy. But if he works for Aubrey, I'm sure he's into all the same shit. And she obviously is still in love with Aubrey as well. Maybe they can all be in a maybe he'll open his mind chakra to having a boyfriend. And that would solve all these problems, honestly. I don't think he will. I think he likes to be the man. The man at the hour. His vocation is a Dharma artist doula. Okay. Obsession is dream interpretations. Disclaimer, disruptively excitable. Okay. Sorry, we're just taking a little aside here. He is create things that help people and let truth teach you how to create better. Mentally fit. He's got, so Fit for Service. That's Aubrey's company. So yeah, so it looks like it's true. I think this is her way of staying in Aubrey's orbit, is my guess. Mythmaker course, the Shimmer quiz, Shimmer school, newsletter, Doc Dojo. What? That's what I need to click on. What? Huh? Helping people discover, articulate, and change their lives through cognitive, evolutionary, and Jungian psychology. He's got a good website. Whoever his designer is pretty good. But yeah, he's like a Aubrey 2.0. Another version of Aubrey. Skinnier, less Eros inducing. Okay, that's mean, but whatever. We're being in our truth, right? We're allowed to say the truth in the world.
This is what we're going to give a try. She's like, I'm in. And what I can say is that because I already had a lover, I was the first to be engaging in that extra relationship. Now, so Whit moved back in pretty much. And then we kept the apartment for a while, but ultimately she was back in. But for that first, I don't know, 8 months, maybe even up to a year, I don't know how long it was just me with another lover. And Whit really had a hard time with it. And when I look back, and I've apologized to Whit like 1,000 times with tears in my eyes for this, like,
I'm sure.
I didn't have the requisite compassion for how hard it was and how hard it would be. And so I was like, what do you mean? You agreed to this. Like, why are you so upset? Why are you giving me so much grief? Why the emotional reaction? So I was not as sympathetic as I should have been. Like, because I hadn't gone through it myself.
Yeah.
And then she got her first set of lovers. And fuck.
It was not fair to me. Okay.
It was so hard. It was so hard. The competition, the comparison, the effect on my own self-worth and self-love. It doesn't mean that I didn't fuck up a billion times. Of course I did. And I've had so much pain and trauma that I experienced, and I'm sure she did as well. Like, we were just figuring shit out. But then the crazy part is at the end of the day, like, I mean, and I'll just stop there because you were there the whole time. Like, we were all homies in this ride or die clique together.
Yeah.
So like this revisionist history that's existing is just so painful for me.
I know.
It's
Oh my Lord, what the fuck? Get a grip. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah. Now she's going to put I saw a comment about this already. So she's going to put her hand on his knee, and someone pointed out, when Vailana was in tears, kind of not as embarrassing, less hysterical as that. I'm sorry. I know, like, I support men crying, but about real things, about something that makes sense, because these are all your actions. And I don't understand what he's crying about at this moment. So I'm sorry, I can't take it seriously. But people were saying, Caitlin understands when someone's hysterically crying that you care about, you kind of comfort them, put your hand on his knee and go, it's going to be okay. And he did not choose to do that with Vailana when she was crying. He was completely like hosting the podcast. Anyways, do you think this is real crying? I feel like it's performative completely. Or he's so self-absorbed. The fact that he's like, someone thought that I wasn't perfect is causing him so much trauma because he's narcissistic and can't handle criticism at all.
I loved Whit, and I'll always love Whit.
I know.
Also, no tears. Okay, so it's fake. And also, he's crying about this because this is the one woman. Whitney has moved on with her life. She's not emotionally attached to this man anymore, and he cannot stand it. This woman's been on the hook. How do I point? This one, whatever, you get what I'm saying, has been on the hook for 18 years emotionally. She's on a podcast right now, like trying to, philosophically give him a blowjob. It's like crazy. And Whitney's the only one that it sounds like that she like got out of there. Also, the college girlfriend got out of there in time. And it's like, he can't stand it. That's a problem. Move on, dude.
I've watched you. I mean,
she's going to cry now. Fake cry.
I understand the ways that sometimes our minds cope with loss and separation.
Again, he was hysterically crying 30 seconds ago. Now he's completely silent.
I am not emotionally stable.
And I've spent a lot of energy these past few weeks trying to make compassionate sense of some of the narratives that have been coming forward as people have put you in this box And it feels so just unjust to the truth that I've witnessed and that I've lived. And I say that with a whole heart. You know, I don't think you've ever tried to position yourself as an immaculate guru who is never doing anything wrong and is right about everything. What I've seen.
Yeah. Also, God has chosen him as someone so important in this life on earth that he or she or it will give him direct messages about who he should be banging, because it will lead humanity on a path of evolution. Yeah, he doesn't think he's a important man on earth. Okay.
Is you be a, bleeding, sweating human being that is wearing your heart on your sleeve and talking about everything that you learned through all of your mistakes for many years now, and simply sharing that with the world.
Simply sharing for money.
My experience of you and our relationship of always, you went on to have great success and get a lot more resources, which you poured generously into your lovers and into your employees.
I wonder why he did that, to maybe keep them on the hook as well.
And your community. And I mean, the list goes on and on. Yeah, it's very tender territory because I've been thinking about this specifically a lot. And as a woman, I see some of the commentary about power dynamics and, really in this particular most recent case with Alana. And
this makes so much more sense because, I do think she's emotionally in love with him. I think that's clear, but I also think it makes sense if they are getting money. And he is a very wealthy man from his family and then also his supplement business that he sold, and also getting thousands of dollars from these spiritual people all the time. He doesn't have to worry about money. As far as I understand. And I like this comment. There's so much context missing. I'm like, girl, he still pays your bills. She and her guy work for him. They all get narcissistic supply from each other. It's a circle jerk, and he's so self-indulgent. Yeah. Yes, I agree. I have no insight into this, but I'm assuming that makes sense. If her fiance works for Aubrey, she's probably tangentially working for him too. Okay, sorry. That was crass. But, yeah, money probably is at play here, because that would make sense as to why she's embarrassing herself right now.
There's been a lot of judgment or speculation about them not feeling truly in their power, truly in their agency, truly choosing the life that they're in because of this imagined power dynamic. And not to say that you don't have power, you don't have great resources. You do. The devastating and frustrating reality of it is that you use them as blessings.
Weird cut.
I find it not in service and in honor of ourselves to essentially, when we as women make...
Yes, speak for all of us. Go off, queen.
A concession about what it is that we want, what we need, what we feel, whatever that may be, because we want to still get to receive a resource or a resource of some kind, or feel secure financially, or get to have connections, or whatever all of these things might be. If we're silent or compromising those needs because we want to receive those resources, we're not doing ourselves a service, nor are we doing a service to the man either. That's not... It'd be lovely if all the men everywhere who had lots of money and power and resources could just feel into the deep hidden needs and desires of our heart and be like, okay, never mind.
Well,
I mean, that's
that's fundamentally I worked to do that by not creating any leverage.
Yeah.
Fundamentally anti-leverage. No matter what you do, you get all of this unconditionally. Doesn't matter what you decide, doesn't matter what you do. Unconditionally, you have my love and support. I actively work to make sure that there's no leverage at all, which is also why there's no fucking prenup with Vi. Like, if she wants, like, whatever money she has now is the same amount of money she'd have if she left me.
Yeah. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't know.
It's the same amount. I don't want people to be with me because I have money. I want people to be with me because they fucking love me. Like, that's the whole point. Real, honest love. Not like some manufactured leverage love. I want to feel love.
But sometimes it's harder.
I guess that is an interesting point, but it's like, I don't think it's just money. I don't know about this chick's. Again, I think it's emotional and money. And also having to admit publicly that you got played. That's embarrassing. I think a lot of people don't want to admit that. Like, especially now. I think there's more of an incentive for Vailana to stick it out with this guy because publicly, a lot of probably her friends and the public have said this is a bad thing. And she wants to probably prove them wrong and be like, no, this is sacred. Because if she has to admit that this is bullshit, she has to admit a lot more about her lifestyle and beliefs, probably. If this is wrong or manipulative, what about the other 20 things that she's doing that's probably also manipulative, perhaps? I'm not saying all of spirituality is, but a lot of it can be.
To say that, you know, this felt damaging to me simply because I loved him so much. You know, and that's not something he did to me. It just is the truth of the pain of separation. Because once you stepped into marriage with Vailana, you know, that created a certain level of separation. And I experienced that, of course, with Whitney originally too, which coming back in as a friend, I had to navigate that for a while and just recognize there is pain in the distance of, not because, you know, if anything sexual even. And this is a challenge of polyamory too. It's just there is a finite amount of time and there's a finite, degree of capacity to be intimately connected, you know, emotionally and present with another person. So when there's, somebody stepping into a primary role, which I know was shocking and painful for Whit and for, other beloveds of yours, and I was
awkward. It was hard for Whit, and I think she wanted to say there, and Vailana as well, because that's what's happening to her right now as we speak. But she held back because she doesn't know if that's part of the PR, if that she's allowed to say that or not. I think
for other beloveds of yours, and I was right there with them, holding them in that process of that transition. And also,
why?
Full honesty as your best friend, a little bit like, I knew you were in love with Vailana. I knew you were looking forward and hoping and praying for the day where you could, step into marriage with Vi. But we were all like, oh, this is really fast, So there was I was holding that shockwave, and I understand how difficult that felt. But it is just to wrap that piece up. It is, there's an opportunity, I think, at some point to come into the vulnerable surrender of just being like, damn, I miss you. And it's painful. And that pain is so challenging that it's easier on my system to make you a villain. And that's the way that I'm coping with it.
Yeah.
I did that I never made you a villain, but I created distance for a while. I had to for a couple.
That's healthy, crazy. Anyone who tells you that, if someone breaks up with you and says, I want to be with another woman, and tells you that distance is not healthy, they're trying to manipulate you. I'm sorry to say.
Of years. And then I found my way back by keeping my heart open, because you are actually a really wonderful person,
that is my boss now, apparently.
Rare and unique type of soul. And I always wanted to be close with you, even if it was different.
And then Vi is single. And then all of a sudden, it's like, wow, I get my chance.
I'm going for it.
I'm fucking going for it. And I'd had so much pain in the polyamory journey. And if you go back and listen or read my old newsletters or listen to my old podcasts, I talk ad nauseum, to the point where people were like, stop fucking talking about how much this hurts. Literally. I got more messages like, we get it. You know, so I was talking ad nauseum about the pain of this situation. So I was like, this is so painful. And then Vailana's free, and I'm like, I'm fucking.
Again, it's like the pain of polyamory. It's like, again, a choice that you're making. If you're going on your podcast and constantly saying, oh, it's so hard, it's like, then stop, dude. What the hell are you doing it for then? I didn't watch those episodes, thank God. Nichama Gluck. Thank you so much. They said, this sounds like struggle love. The more I suffer and the more you deprive and test me, my pain is the proof of my love. Yeah, I agree. That's exactly what it sounds like. And I have the perfect soundbite, hopefully, maybe, that should summarize this.
I feel more at home in suffering and pain.
There you go. Gosh, the perfect soundbite. What is this one?
It is what it is.
True.
No one's come to save us.
And just keep in mind, Nichama Gluck,
There's nothing more whole than a broken heart.
whatever that's supposed to mean. Thank you.
And going all in. There's no way I'm losing. I'm not gonna waste my shot. I'm not gonna waste my shot. And so I've had to ask, like,
Is that a song?
in that moment, was I being manipulative?
Yeah.
Or was I just blind?
No.
And I know in the marrow of my bones that whether it was a self-serving bias, whether it was fear she was going to be with somebody else, whether it was the pain and trauma lens that I was looking through based on what I'd experienced, I was like,
It was the grass is greener. There you go. Solved it for you.
I'm in. We'll be monogamous. We'll have an expanded version. That was always our agreement, that we would have other lovers. We'd have an expanded version, but I'm down with this monogamy thing because this other thing was so fucking painful.
I mean, when you went for Vi and you were like, I'm going for it. I'm proposing.
I almost jumped off a bridge, but I said, no, he'll be back. He'll be back. And I was right. Here you are.
It was like,
sorry.
Easy. Easy there. You sure?
For sure.
And you, in the privacy of our conversation, take it for what you will, anybody who's listening to this, but I can testify, like, in the privacy of our conversations, which have, like, no holds barred, we share everything.
We share everything. There's no risk. I'm not trying
He tells me his secret.
There's no risk. He's like, I don't care what you think at all. There's no risk for me to tell you things. I love this about him. It's so great.
Desires, even though they hardly exist, always for years and years. And so when he came to me with this, since it was sincere, it was earnest, it was like, and I was like, this feels fast, because I knew your nature. And I was like, I've watched you, it's like, I've known you for a really long time. And like, are you sure monogamy is going to work, And so I had some of those thoughts, but I also wanted to just bless the truth of your experience. And something I want to say here really quickly.
I was afraid to disagree. Like every good cult leader, you don't want to upset you.
This is not a cult.
We're not a cult.
Is I think we don't give enough grace to the perfection, call it the karmic path, call it, the fate or destiny or whatever it might be. I've had, some people in little moments when I got into the fray over the past few weeks be like, how can you let Vailana do this? How can you let Aubrey do this? You're not a true friend or whatever. And it's like, have you ever tried to tell somebody, anybody, your family member, your best friend, what they should do? That it doesn't work like that. You don't want people to learn because I told you so. Like, hey, Aubrey, I'm not sure that you're cut out for monogamy. Take my word for it and just don't propose to the woman that you love. It's not how it works. We all have to, we gain wisdom, we get to know.
I think you should, if you have earned now this is my maybe hot take, but I think if you are truly best friends with someone, you should feel comfortable to be able to express your critical opinions. But I guess he would consider that being burnt at the stake alive. So I understand her hesitation, but I don't think that's a true best friend in my definition personally.
know ourselves, know thyself through experience. And so whatever experience you choose is actually the perfect architecture for what you're here to learn, what you're here to discover about your true nature. And that's really painful in situations. I know some people very close to me who've been in catastrophically abusive relationships.
Myself
and
included.
I have
probably
prayed and cried and felt shaken of like, how are you ever going to get out of this? Are you going to live through this? Advice.
And I say nothing because they need to experience this abuse, I guess. Okay, sorry. It's got dark.
Prayers, like, you can't drag a man to the altar, they say. And so I know the difference between sitting beside somebody who is still of their sovereignty, of their will, of their desire, choosing a path that's dangerous and self-destructive. In certain situations, it's important to express that. But I deeply know at this point in my life, after 42 years of life, that we learn through the experiences that we choose. And we have to find a way to trust each other's souls. And so in that moment, I was like, I was also stoked for you because Vailana's amazing. And I knew that this was something that you had deeply hoped for. And so I was unsure if you'd transition all the way into like monogamous Aubrey forever.
But she was right. She was right. He had a threshold of like 18 months or whatever he had with Whitney. Same thing. It's like 18 months he gets bored.
You did for a period of time, and it was sincere. And you came to learn more about your true nature. And so the story unfolded, you know?
You remember that when it was early on and I was in the middle of the bed and I had you and Vi on either side and we were doing a meditation.
Clothes on, platonic.
Yeah. It's always, and it's just so people know.
Yeah, I'm sure. She was hoping for something to happen.
Oh, you know, those accusing Caitlyn of being in the sex cult. It's been a fucking long time since we've had sex. Like
a whole nother lifetime.
15 fucking years.
Yes.
So everybody relax.
And I'm officially engaged.
Yes.
To one of Aubrey's best friends. And
indeed.
My beloved Eric.
And my fucking beloved Eric. Eric is the fucking dopest.
Yeah.
He's the best.
But yeah.
He always has to, because Vailana's boyfriend or whatever, Josh, I think his name is Joshua, he's also Aubrey's friend / maybe employee. So the men that get to be with the women also are approved by Aubrey. I can't point. Oh my God.
Yeah, we were in a
so
lovely
but in that moment, you know, it was like there was a big tikkun, which is lineage word for repair.
Mm-hmm.
But I could feel that
tikkun. They're just a bunch of caterpillars in a cocoon. Snuggle as a bug in a rug in the bed, middle meditation. Love it. This is very normal behavior.
Happened in the field of honesty and a field of like integrity between you and Vi, where
it's the beginning of our true sisterhood that was always meant to be.
Exactly.
Well, she was also, they haven't said this, but she was also making out and kissing Whitney, the other ex, because here they are. This is Whitney. So Whitney moves on, and now Vailana comes in, and now she's laying in the bed with Vailana. So this woman doesn't care which woman it is. She just wants to be close to Aubrey. Again, that's my prediction. I don't know anything, but that's my guess.
And so, so we have this period, and there's, of course, like, I'd seen Vailana's light. I'd seen a little bit of the craziness that happened between you and her, but I always like ascribed that to third person. And, but I just went fucking all the way in, I had signs and people criticized me for the signs that I got, but I got a crazy sign with Vi, like I got this visual of a fucking blinding star in my third eye, Burning Man 2017, after me and Vi had an intimate moment. And like, so I've had signs that, Vi was like, don't forget this, dummy.
And she's really hot also, which has nothing to do with anything. It was definitely the star on her forehead that he imagined, for sure.
And so I've followed the signs and followed the lessons, and I just went in, and then We had a
So passive.
wild and also somewhat tumultuous ride as we, you don't really know someone until you see their shadow, and she saw mine and I saw hers, and we're really like twin flames. Like Vi and I were
Totally.
laughing. We were just in Bodrum and we're laughing like
They look alike.
we're really like the same person in the opposite sex, which is
So true.
the most exciting and the most like thrilling and the most fucking challenging.
Yeah.
And we've triggered each other intensely.
This is like what do they call it? It's like something ritual, like embarrassment ritual. What's the word where someone goes and like has to do something embarrassing every day? Shame ritual. That's what this is. She's the ex fiance of this man, and she has to sit here and listen to how hot his wife is and how amazing she is and how great, how much in love with, how much God told him to be with her. Isn't that like pretty mean to say? Like, I would still have feelings about that if someone said that to me personally. Anyways, whatever.
And so, and then we
ritual.
were
Thank you.
in this kind of expanded monogamy kind of context, and we met Alana. Both of us were looking to meet somebody, and we had some failed attempts of meeting somebody. Blessings to all them. They're great people, but it wasn't the right fit. And some were actually really dope and beautiful, and some, didn't work out. But we were like both in this kind of, all right, let's find someone that could be a travel companion and be someone who can be like our friend and ally and potentially lover and somebody who could go. And then there were signs that led to Alana. And then
Get on Raya.
ultimately, like the meme that's going on is about that final sign that I got when we were just in this kind of friends and lovers and allies kind of category, but still in the monogamy frame. I got this voice that came in the Isis temple in Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
And
He even knows this is ridiculous. Like, he's changed his tone. He's like, okay, you're right. This is crazy, actually. But I'm going to still say it as if it's not.
now you could say that this was a projection of my subconscious desires to have children
you
with
could say
multiple
that.
people, but I've never really been a big children guy.
No.
Caitlin, go to a therapist, please. She's like, no, I really wanted children. That was something else that we couldn't agree on. Oh, well. Like, think about this for a second. Anyways, also, he's like nearing 50, right? That's when I think men start to go, maybe, I want some children, some men to take down my, DNA. I feel like that's kind of typical too. Like, the party boy wants to have, especially if he doesn't have to take care of the kids. He's got multiple women to take care of his kids. Why would he not want to impregnate them? He's got enough resources to take care of them and to have help. So this is the time that I feel like men start to go, yeah, you can have the kid and raise him. That'll be great for my legacy. I can give my kid my business or whatever.
Like, that's not been something I'm like, I just can't wait to procreate. I need to spread my seed. Like, that's
Not at all.
that's like not my, but
You're gonna be a great dad, but it's not been.
and I'm
part
looking
of
forward to that for sure.
No.
But again, it could be that.
Do we think Alana's already pregnant? That was something that I had heard a lot, and I thought possibly. I thought it, and then looked at her Instagram, and I was like, God, she's like so thin. I can't imagine. But maybe they made the Instagram posts late or something, and maybe it's possible. I don't know. What do you guys think? Because I thought that they're talking as if like, oh, you're gonna be a great dad. It could be hypothetical, or it could be she's having a baby at some point soon.
Could be some.
It's not a kink or fantasy
No.
to have a bunch of children. For
No,
you.
that's
and
not.
it is for some men.
It is for some men, and some men want to fucking Genghis Khan out and just like change the fucking genetics of an entire population. I don't consciously have that, but it's possible. But anyways, this fucking voice comes
I don't consciously have that, but it's possible. Okay.
in, and I've been a psychonaut since I was 18, and I've learned the discernment between like the type of voices that I hear, and this voice was have children with them. And I was like, fuck. And I called you first.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, what the fuck?
It was another moment.
I was like, what the actual fuck do I do with this?
It'd be elaborate to make that up and then call me just to like strengthen the story. Like, it was a sincere experience for you. And something I want to interject real quick that I feel kind of passionate about after watching this all unfold is I don't love the ridicule that I see around you getting to talk about the signs that you experience. I understand the skepticism.
It is ridiculous. You gotta admit this, Caitlin. It's ridiculous. This guy who has the same problems throughout his whole life, he's now all of a sudden getting signs exactly at the period of time where he wants to go find another woman. He just doesn't want to be criticized for it. You don't find that to be more reasonable than him actually communicating with divine beings? Come on.
The, concern, the, like, all of the different interpretations that have come up. But I just want to name, like, I think it's a beautiful thing especially for a man. Like, there's not a lot of examples of permission for men to get to tune in to what feels like your intuition or, a voice or a vision or something.
I don't like the gender stereotypes necessarily all the time, but I don't think men don't get to rely on their guts as a general statement. I find that to be not true in my experience, anecdotally.
That inspires you, that kind of like defies, logic. And I think that we need to nurture that a little bit, and that kind of ridicule around like, oh, you heard a voice, or, we have there's lots of love stories where there's an intuition. There was also the kind of sneering about the Raya impulse. And why is it okay in some circumstances where, people might say, I had this funny feeling I should just go out that night. And then they meet somebody at a bar or they meet somebody at the library.
Because that's not saying God told me get on Raya right now. That's why it's ridiculous, because it isn't what he said. He didn't say, I had this funny feeling that I was going to match with someone that day. He said, God told me in the middle of my workout that I need to stop right now and get on my phone and swipe. And that's God's will. That's why it's ridiculous. Come on.
I felt called to the library that day, or I had this interesting dream, right? And yes, that can be sometimes projection. It also might be divine direction. It also might be the gnosis of your soul. And we have to make space to allow people to have their own, conversations with the soul and with...
Maybe we should let people have conversations about disagreeing with podcasts. Maybe we should let people have conversations about negative things as opposed to glazing everyone constantly. Maybe that would be a conversation we should let people have openly. And I see a question, and I also see Nichema Gluck. Thank you so much. The question is, I have a question. Psychonaut basically is a glorified label for I do drugs. Yes, he's saying that he's a psychonaut, aka does psychedelics specifically, I guess. And he's changed the timeline twice within this very podcast as to when he started that journey. He said 25 at first, and then he changed to 18. So there you go. That is what that means. And Nichema Gluck, Nichema. Let me know what it is. Gluck, thank you so much. They say, guys, the voice in my head says I should quit my job. Should I listen? It might be instructions from the goddess. I think it's saying quit your job. No, that doesn't make sense. Sorry. God, do you have any insights? Let's ask. God, what do you think?
I happen to be an empath myself.
Here's a message divinely downloaded for you, Nichema, about this specific topic. I hope that answered your question. Thank you so much. And finally,
comment the word brainwash and we will send you the entire episode.
That's what's coming, at the end of this episode. Okay, we got about 40 minutes left. Jeez. Okay, we're going to try to get through this thing. Thank you.
What feels like the divine to you. And that was a sincere experience of that for you, one that was costly, confusing, and deeply uncomfortable.
Well, yeah, and this whole Raya thing, Vi and I were both on Raya because we weren't meeting people out in the real world. I mean, we went out to dinner in Miami, so we were in Miami. We went out to dinner, and there was clearly some escort who this other rich man had hired that came over to our dinner table and was like, "Hey, you guys interested in playing?" and blah blah blah. And we were like, "No, this is not what we're looking for. We're looking for a soulmate."
Maybe God told them to come over to your table. Ever think about that?
We're looking for a whole mate. We're looking for someone who can be with us. And
we can really bond with.
So we opened ourselves to the digital sphere. Both of us had accounts. Vi was looking. I was not even actually that aggressively looking, but I just got a fucking message.
And I remember Vi proudly showing me your Raya account. Vi did,
of course, and we had a picture. We had a picture of both of us in that, and clearly, there was no deception at all.
No.
So
there was no deception at all, but if I remember correctly, they both had "just here for friends" as the option, and they were secretly not saying that they're looking for a soulmate woman. But okay, yeah, no deception at all, Aubrey. Cell phone.
All right, I get this message, and I was like, okay, you're gonna find somebody, and we found Alana, immediately, just like my intuition had. All right, so. Whatever it was, you could say, oh, okay, he's just making that shit up. He was searching all the time, and then he finally felt whatever. You believe whatever you want. I'm not here to change people's minds, but this is the reality of what fucking happened.
You're trying.
And then, so we invited Alana. Alana and Vi clicked it off. They started talking about Hawaii. It was a great thing. And then we went into, a beautiful sacred space together where we got to deeply know each other. There was nothing.
Okay, so what they did was, in case you didn't see the last one, they on the second date, or at least they discussed it on the second date, they did a mix of ketamine and cannabis. And apparently it makes you go nuts and scream. And I'm not even joking. That's what he did a podcast with this other woman that they did this to. And she said, I thought I was just going to have this erotic, fun experience. And then 10 minutes in, I was like, ah! So that was her retelling of the story. So don't shoot the messenger.
Thing sexual about it. And then we realized whoa, Alana has a soul nature that is really remarkable to behold. And you know Alana really well, and she's a very special human being. Mm-hmm. That's the right word. And Vi and I are
there's an aura about her.
Vi and I are the same.
Why would she
we're
know
two
her
sides
too?
of the same.
Why would she know Alana too? How does this woman know all of his lovers? So bizarre.
Coin. We're bridgers. Yeah. We're fierce warriors and have a lot of bad and a lot of good, and And Alana is we really felt oh, wow, this is next gen consciousness that we're encountering.
She's 27 years old. She's a human being. She's not an angel. This is bad to think this about your partner because, again, they're going to let you down. And then you're going to be I need to find a real angel now. And then the cycle continues.
And then months play out, etc. And the friendship turns romantic. And then, more months and more months play out. And then I get this message, this voice that's super, super abnormal. I usually don't get a fucking voice. I've had lots of visions, but I get a fucking voice in this temple. Okay. It just happened that way. Then I call you and I'm what the fuck? Mm-hmm. This is not. This is a disaster.
He tries to look like a little boy, like the Macaulay Culkin. He's trying to look so innocent. He's trying to I don't know if it's subconscious or not, but I was so innocent in this. This has nothing to do with my interests or my desires of Eros. It was just a voice to kink me. I hate it so much. I'm just a little boy. I'm just a little boy that needs to impregnate my girlfriend and my wife. I'm just a little boy. I can't help myself. I'm sorry. And I had to call my ex-fiance to tell her to make sure she knows that she will never have baby with me. I just wanted to push the knife in her one last time. My name is Aubrey. Aubrey Marcus, some way call me. Okay, sorry. That was actually a download. That wasn't me. That was a voice of Isis's toddler. Oh, Taro heard my baby voice. She knows that's her voice. Come here. Come on. I was calling you. Sorry.
This is a fucking disaster. And I was like, what the fuck do I do with this? And
Nothing.
you're like, I don't
do
know.
nothing.
Sit with it.
Yeah,
and, you're like, and we were talking about maybe, and we were thinking,
call.
all right, maybe this could be that you're supposed to birth like a book, or you're supposed to birth a project. Maybe the child is just a metaphor for something else. So I'm like holding all of these possibilities of like, yeah,
really
totally.
holding it. Yeah.
Like totally it could be all of that.
But then,
Vi and I are, lying in bed and on the Nile, and she's like, and I told her, I was like, look, I just had an experience in the sanctum sanctorum of this temple, and like, I'm not ready to talk about it. She's like, what happened? What happened in the sanctum sanctorum? What happened? What happened? And I was like, fuck, like I'm not ready to share this but I shared it, and it was utter chaos. I mean, I don't need to go into the details, but like I was at the point where I was ready to throw myself in the fucking Nile. Like it was like
he was a witch throwing himself in the river to see if he truly was divine or not. Wow, full circle moment, right?
Like an absolute disaster.
The drama of this man.
And so if this was some secret manipulative plan, it was like the fucking worst way. Like you'd want to.
It's like every bad boyfriend. Okay, I'm making a generalization, but like bad boyfriends when they're like treat you horribly, and then they're like, and then you break up with them, you stand up for yourself for once, and then they're like, I'm gonna kill myself. It's like the same vibe I'm getting. Like you actually go, this is not acceptable, and then they start to go, well, if you leave me, I'm gonna do something crazy. It's like that's the emotional immaturity that's coming out in him. Not, well, if I was making it up, would I be throwing myself in the Nile? Yeah, probably, actually.
Kind of warm the situation up, allow things to play out. But like I told the truth, and it was a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, and I will say for you, you're not one to realize something for, it's not always like absolutely the everlasting truth and the way, capital V way. But when you have a realization about something that you're feeling, desiring, whether this is in business, employment, creative decisions, relationship, you come forward with it. And, it's not, and I think
selfish.
it's a really, it's not a comfortable thing for most people, actually. Like a lot of us, I'll say for myself, I feel safer holding, like, I'm like, oh, I'm having these feelings, or, what if this is the way, or, and like holding that tension out of fear of discomfort to speaking the truth of what's present. You have a kind of superpower that can, erupt into lots of chaos, because it's like, I'm feeling this, I'm seeing this, and I'm not going to like keep it from you. I'm not going to hold that tension between us.
And that's like, that to me is fidelity. It's like really.
That's a weird fidelity, because I think many people have many thoughts and they keep them to themselves until they have time to process it themselves. And the reason she probably asked so many times is because he was probably moody and acting emotional and acting like brutish, because he really wanted her to ask. Like a teen boy would be like upset and he wants his mom to ask what's wrong, and then you have to like pull it out of the, like, I don't know. It just seems like it's all manipulative, whether he knows it or not. It's all manipulative to me.
Saying what is. I mean, I remember when we were in an Iboga journey, and Iboga told me that, our path was supposed to split.
We were engaged.
And I wrestled with Iboga for 8 hours, and Iboga told me we were supposed to split, and we're in the afterglow of this unbelievable experience. And I was like, hey, Casey, like.
Boga, I think, is the frog medicine, the drugs. Okay, I have to go back. Just need to hear this again.
And I wrestled with Iboga for 8 hours, and Iboga told me we were supposed to split, and we're in the afterglow of this unbelievable experience. And I was like, hey, Casey, like, I got to tell you that, like, Iboga told me that we need to split. And the part that, like, I don't even want to, I'm like shy to share the rest, because I've seen what people do with everything I say. But like Iboga showed me a future that looks very similar to this future that I have now. And
so then why did you get with Whitney then and be monogamous with her? That doesn't make any sense. Nothing that he says makes sense. He's like, I got a vision and it said that I was going to have a life like this. So I got with this other blonde woman in a monogamous relationship. Like, okay, what?
I
But
mean,
without the details.
I can say, so if it helps for people listening
Cam.
to hear this frame, we can look at it like Iboga showed me, and that is the experience that you had. We can also look at it like
So why wouldn't Iboga tell her the same thing? Why did it only tell him? He's the only one allowed to get messages.
Iboga unlocked an aspect of your consciousness that the self, the capital S self that knows the path you're meant to walk, was able to communicate with you through that medicine and show you whether, again, and I will say, I think this was part of what was meant for you. I don't think that this was a secret, selfish desire of you wanting to break up with me. We were very happy, you know, and
Get a clue.
Oh
my God.
And you did tell me, like, the next morning when we were in the afterglow of that ceremony, which was my first big...
The afterglow of 8 hours of wrestling. with it telling you that you need to break up with your fiance. The afterglow of that experience. Okay.
Big ceremony. And we were engaged and we were happy. And you said, you know, I don't know what to think of this yet, but I saw a future where I was traveling around, you know, giving these talks and things. You didn't even have your platform yet.
Yeah.
And we weren't together. I was on my own. And I felt a little shell-shocked, and I also felt like open and curious and a little disturbed and everything all at once. And then, but I just kind of like let myself hold that. And, you know, within about 4 months, we split. And again, like, do I hold that over you as some kind of strange manipulation that you used Iboga for? No, that was...
You should, though, probably, actually, if you were healthier, you would see that this is very clearly a pattern.
That was your experience, and I believe it to be earnest.
I feel like every time he has to be an asshole, he blames God or he blames a drug. Something out of his control. It's out of my control. God told me. The drug told me. Not my fault, because he doesn't want to be a bad guy. But he is a bad guy. It's okay to be a bad guy, honestly. Like, it's not good for people in your life, but if you want to do that, go for it. Hawk to it.
And I don't think you've done anything but get more conscientious and thoughtful and, you know, mature with how you were quite mature for your age back then, but I've seen you grow in compassion and discernment and thoughtfulness over the years, just as we all do, unless we're kind of like stuck at one level of the game. And so I take these things that you're sharing, you know, as...
Good point, Dustin. God and drugs are his scapegoat, and he is our scapegoat. Yeah, for someone who hates being blamed, he blames the divine for all of his problems quite a bit.
Ernest shares, and I think it's really important for us to be able to hold each other's stories with dignity. Like, generally speaking, it's very precious to be able to share a story. It's very healthy for us. And this is a tangent, but something I felt really passionate about coming on here and speaking to is just every time we take, somebody comes out and reveals something about themselves publicly and shares it with the world, and we react like a collective sort of groupthink or mob mentality kind of has a reactive response to that and shames it. We might feel like, oh, I'm just going to shame this one person for sharing this thing that they shouldn't have shared. That was irresponsible to share that, or whatever the story might be.
It's not that it was irresponsible, but with being vulnerable comes vulnerability. And people had the right to express themselves about how they felt about the whole situation. That's it. That's where it begins and ends. Go on.
Well, guess what? You just sent out a broadcast to everyone watching, everyone looking at these comments who has had a vision, who has had an intuition, who is in a polyamorous relationship, who is holding a...
But he's not in a polyamorous relationship. He was in a radical monogamous relationship.
secret or tender or vulnerable desire in their hearts. You've sent out a broadcast to everyone who can relate to this story and said, shame, shame, shame. Don't ever talk about it. Don't ever tell your partner. Don't you dare ever come.
No one ever said that I saw at all. No one has that opinion. It's that this is all manipulative and that it doesn't seem like the women, or at least Vailana, really is happy. But okay.
Forward with that. That's a shame bomb that creates so much dysfunction
Shame bomb.
and deception and fracturing of the psyche and the emotional body that I think is the root of all violence and evil on this planet ultimately. Because the more we compartmentalize these truths that feel a little bit different than the status quo, and we start to hide them from the rest of the world, we get these fractured parts of ourselves that don't feel and don't believe that they can be loved. And that's that denial of the self, that denial of self-love turns into so much pain.
Okay, I think this is a coping mechanism that I also shared when I was very into spirituality. The world, not even the world, the universe, the cosmos are so large, so vast, we don't understand it, that this is a way to cope and make ourselves feel bigger. That like, yes, I am at the root of what causes people to go to war and cause violence. My lived experience can explain the problems of the earth. And that is a comforting thing. I think it's all for comfort to have these things. God has my back so much that he's going to tell me to go on Raya when I need to go on Raya. That is like a comfort that I think as humans we probably need to a degree, but you need to see it as a delusion at a certain point and to see that you're using these things to your advantage to get what you want and to be calm that, you know, one day we will all be dust. Like that's a hard truth. I don't want to admit that, but it's true. But the things to deal with that are religion, there's drugs, there's lots of things to deal with that. But they don't see that this is a cope. They think, no, we're special. We are divine. It's like, no. You're dealing with humanity as we all are. And it's hard and it's painful. But you are not special. I'm so sorry to tell you.
Pain between human beings and disease and regret at the end of our lives. And so I know it's been very hard for you, but...
Okay, and the final irony is... having this conversation here on this channel, to me, is an expression of my choices in life, right? So if anyone, and I don't care, you can say whatever you want. Like if you want to criticize me or whatever, fine, I don't care. But don't you find it ironic that people who will say, like, how dare you have these negative opinions about my choices? And now people aren't going to talk their truth. This is my truth. This is a lot of people's truth, that these people are annoying and ludicrous and what they talk about is stupid. So isn't someone saying, oh my gosh, how dare you say this? Isn't that the same thing you're accusing me of doing? It's like people on my channel will say sometimes, oh my God, how do you bash women, you bitch? It's like, I'm a woman too. What are you talking about? You're bashing me right now. You're doing the thing that you say I'm doing. It's like, I don't know. It's just funny to me. That's just a little aside.
I'm grateful that you're being brave right now and coming back on here and sharing even more. And I hope that with time, everyone who's tracking this story can start to be more open to anybody sharing the truth of their experience, even if it's a little bit unusual, even if it's a little bit uncomfortable. Yeah. I mean, I know I've been in relationship dynamics during my, pre-Eric years where I was in relationships with poly or open married couples and knew the wife, knew the husband, multiple. And those women were some of the most powerful women I've ever fucking known. And
Amen.
I just want to advocate for the normalization of the diversity of authentic experience that we actually all have.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Casey. And I think you're really right. You know, I mean, we as a culture has made great strides in the general acceptance of, let's just call it the queer community for, you know, although that there's specifics that extend beyond that, but just those things which are not the status quo. And many of these groups have gathered and they've earned their rights after like years of persecution that have been horrible. And they've earned the right to actually claim who they are and what they are, and then be protected for what their experience is.
Okay.
And I can't help but notice that in this particular situation, this is something that's queer for people, and queer meaning strange, like unusual.
Okay.
Like out of the ordinary, not the status quo. And I know there may be other definitions of queer that I may not be aware of, so all sensitivity and apology.
My mom always called me queer. It's queer strange, though, not queer what he's talking. Well, I guess he is saying strange, but not the gay queer like that. My mom would be like, you're so queer. That was her insult to me all the time. Just wanted to share that.
Geez, for if I'm misusing the term. However, nonetheless, like this is an expression of something that falls outside the status quo. And while certain aspects of that are celebrated by culture, like good for you, congratulations, in this particular
People
instance.
do that with polyamory, though. Honestly, like what I see, there's that, but that's not what you're claiming. You're actually ashamed to be polyamorous, and you call it something else. That's why people are like, "This is weird."
It's been the opposite version. You know, hearing a voice is queer. It's strange. It's out of the ordinary. It's not part of the consensus. Having a expanded understanding of relationship is currently, according to the status quo, it's unusual. It's not expected.
And seemingly more disruptive than divorce.
That's the other thing. It's like, I mean, people who are... Like Vi and I had a choice.
It's a weird
Vi spent 3 months in isolation when this came to be. And she's talked about it on her podcast. This was one of the
her own choice. I want to make that very clear.
Yeah, exactly. Like she spent 3 months to be with herself. And decide.
Choose.
Like, what do I really want? You know, and what would really actually be what my soul wants? What is the life that I want to live? It's not because she wouldn't have had money if she chose the other path. It's because she wanted this love and she wanted this expanded possibility. And I think that's the other part of the story that people don't get. Like, we had a choice for divorce.
Yeah, I would believe it, and I wouldn't believe it, to be honest, but I would believe it more if both of them had the same voice at the same time. They looked at each other and they said, all three of them, like, did you just hear that? Yeah, I did just hear. Oh my God, that's crazy. And they all collectively had this experience. But because it was only in his mind and it benefits him, that's why, again, also I'm suspicious. Because it's like, God's only picking one of you. Why aren't the women getting these signs? Why do they have to humanly come to terms with it? But he divinely gets the A-OK.
And ultimately, love prevailed. So these people who are a stand for the traditional values, well, one of the traditional values is you stay together and you honor your commitment. Okay, well, we did that, but where's the support for that? You know, like we chose to stay together. We chose to update the agreement, just like if you're in a business partnership agreement and situations and terms change, you renegotiate the agreement to see if you can still say partners or if there needs to be a settlement. And you go and you live different lives, and somebody, you know, this is how agreements work.
So he really takes himself out emotionally. He love bombs in the beginning, emotionally connects with these women. And then as soon as he goes, I want to be poly, take it or leave it, he's not emotionally connected anymore. He's like, it's very business, you know, but the women are like, oh my God, they feel like they've been, you know, out of left field, just confronted with this thing. And now they got to go and like do all this work to understand and like come to terms and all stuff. He seems like he is emotionally connected and emotionally manipulative, honestly, at the beginning, gets him hooked, gets him really comfortable, shows him a beautiful life with trips to, the desert and to Hawaii and to Egypt. And then all of a sudden throws the wrench and goes, hey, I want this other thing, take it or leave it. I don't care. Like, if you take this or we're getting divorced, that's a hard choice, I think, even though he sucks. If you're in a marriage with this guy, that's a hard choice for these women to go and now have to go, oh, okay, I could start my life over, or I could, just deal with this. And I think that's kind of what they're going through. And they will come, I think, at some point to the light, quote unquote, but it'll take a while.
Mm-hmm. And we chose to honor our agreement. And, Alana chose also to honor the agreement under certain, kind of structure that we all agreed on. All of us chose to be in this.
Under duress.
That's what we chose. And is it the right choice? I don't know. Yeah. I feel like it is. But I'm not sure if it's the right choice. And that's also one of the beautiful things that have come up from all of these voices. They've read through thousands of comments.
Why?
And at least 1,000 of them says, Vailana, run. Alana, run. Like, if I was trying to manipulate this situation, do you think I would have exposed them to thousands of voices telling them to get the fuck away?
Yeah.
It's absurd.
Well, he turned off the comments, so I guess answer your own question, Aubrey.
Yeah. I would be the worst manipulator of all time. The classic mark of any manipulation is you keep people in isolation.
Yeah.
This is
2 seconds ago, he goes, Vailana was in isolation for 3 months. Okay.
This is the anti-isolation. Here's every voice that might play on every fear that you've had. And we've had to have all those hard conversations. Like, is this going to fucking work? Is this what we all truly want?
Excuse me, sorry.
And we're still having those conversations, but it's looking like it is. Like, it's looking like...
She's so disappointed. She wants it to fail so bad and to have him come back to her. She's like, I'm so glad it's working out for you. I'm so happy for you. Why I oughta.
Fucking hey. Like, we really actually are choosing this. And I genuinely believe that while monogamy, like we said on the fucking podcast, it works most of the time for most people. But with adultery rates looking like a fucking Bitcoin.
Adultery rates. They had to add this in the only thing they've used. They added B-roll. Adultery rates. Okay, this is from, I'm glad they're citing this, bedbible.com, my personal Bible. This is where I get all of my insights about life from. Share of respondents who reported to have cheated on any partner in the U.S. from 1960 to 2021. Okay, wow, off the charts. That's crazy. He's so right. I'm glad he's using real data. This proves it, guys. ISIS is real, and she was telling him to fix the problem. Statistics don't lie.
Chart going up. And, divorce rates, at least 40% for the first marriages, going way higher for the second and third marriages.
Where's that data?
There's a need for other solutions. And these other solutions are...
They exist. It's called polyamory. It's been around. It's called open marriages. This is nothing new. You have not invented this.
You're just not making them up out of thin air. It's the same way the Lakota people used to live with modifications, or the Himba people used to live. There's been millions of different cultures who've lived.
He thinks he's Native American. He wants to be so bad.
By different structures.
He might be, actually. I don't actually know his nationality. He may be. I shouldn't say that. I take it back. But if he's not, if he's white, like I think he is, then he's trying to steal their culture.
And yes, there's a short period of the kind of polygyny culture, like even in the Mormon culture, like polygyny, where the men get to have multiple wives, but the women can't have other husbands.
Polygyny?
Like, that's not this either. This is something totally different. Like, I could see what happened when Vi got with Josh, because then she got it. Like before it was hypothetical, but when she started to love Joshua, then she got it. She would go spend the night with him. They'd play music. They'd make love. And I trusted him to tend the garden and return the garden back to me more flourishing than the way I left it.
But isn't that called polyamory? Again, isn't that polyamorous or an open relationship? Why do we have to call it radical monogamy? That's the whole point. Like, yeah, that's fine. Again, I have no problems with that at all. Like, they're doing it in the open. It's whatever. But like, that already exists. It's already a construct. So why are you trying to make it seem like this is a brand new thing that they've developed and that God has told them to do?
Yeah.
And that's the way it is with Alana. When I spend a night with Alana, the garden of Aubrey Marcus returns to Vylana more nourished, more replenished, and more in love.
Yeah.
And that's possible. And I'm not
easy.
It's not easy. It's fucking so hard. It's like, it sometimes feels like you're crawling through broken glass and 6 inches of salt water. Like, it's fucking hard. And it's possible. And
Eric's constantly like, I just don't have the energy for like, I don't know how,
And that's the other thing people think, the amount of processing.
Yeah.
And the amount of conversations. And I'm so
like,
much.
It's not like there's the king getting fed like, grapes in his.
He's like, no, that is what it is. But, I don't want to talk about that publicly.
Chair, by all of his women. It's pretty brutal. A lot of the time.
And fortunately.
And so beautiful.
And fortunately, like I had a lot of hard practice.
Mm-hmm.
Like I dealt with shit that was really difficult. So when Vi wanted to go to Unison Festival with Josh, I was like, okay, like I can bless that. But it doesn't mean that there weren't hard moments. Like,
my wife, who I told I didn't want to be with her exclusively anymore, wanted to go with her boyfriend after I begged her to take a lover. She wanted to go to a festival with him, and I really struggled with that. Was so hard. It feels like I'm being burned in a river and having to touch glass. Okay, sorry. The drama. Like, she wanted to go to a concert? Oh my God!
She spent a sunrise with him on the playa, and it brought up a lot of old memories of pain. I walked out at sunrise and just found myself at an installation and was just crying, by myself. And then some fucking wanker comes with a camera and is like, hey, Aubrey Marcus, I want to interview you. And I'm like, no, now's not the time. And then but I did it anyways, like a fucking idiot. And then he's there to make fun of me. And I'm like, I'm just fucking grieving a private moment here. But
grieving a private moment of your wife having a nice experience? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Thank you, Hawkbit37, a.k.a. Hawkbit2. For this, I say,
holy and broken hallelujahs.
And also,
they are the victims of cancel culture.
That's what Aubrey thinks of himself and this chick. Thank you.
It's fucking crazy. But anyways, it's not like even still, there were still things that came up. But the fact that it's hard is not a bug of this system. It's a feature.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're actually devoted to evolution, which I am, Vylana is, Alana is, like...
Shut the fuck. Oh, yeah. I'm looking at DNA every day. I'm in the CRISPR machine just pulling data. I'm committed to evolution.
Moving through challenges with your choice, your volition. Like... Everybody chooses to go do a Wachuma ceremony with Maestro Alejo. That's hard. Everybody chooses. We chose to go, sit with a boga. You choose, and it's fucking hard.
Yeah.
But you trust that on the other side of that choosing, there's going to be growth.
On the other side of it, you're going to be broken up with. We trust that because I planned it in advance.
And there's going to be benefit.
There's always a massive gift for courage. I've learned that through my life. And man, I love to just lean back from the resistance sometimes, but the courage that it takes to say yes to an experience is directly equivalent to exponential reward. Even if it isn't direct or it isn't clear yet, it's always going to result in a reward of having earned the wisdom of that experience.
This is a capitalistic problem, I really think, that your own individual thoughts will always lead you to the right direction. No matter who it hurts, no matter who you're trampling over, no matter who you're overtaking, who you're colonizing, it's always for the betterment of the world because you thought it and it benefited you. Maybe it's not capitalism, but it's just the bad side of human nature, perhaps, in my opinion.
And that's some of the greatest elixir for the soul that I think there is. And, I'll say as somebody who's now in a monogamous relationship,
shocker,
I am learning after I had a long journey of all sorts of different kinds of situations, a couple more partnerships, some open relationship constructs in the years that followed our relationship. And I'm back.
I wonder why. I wonder if that was her way of trying to show, I'm cool. I can do it. I can do what you're asking. Maybe the drugs were wrong. Maybe I'm over here doing what you want. Love me, love me, love me. Maybe that could be a reason too. I don't know. Maybe think about it for a second. Maybe, I don't know.
Back in the configuration of monogamy with my partner, and it's also got challenges and it's also hard and it's a beautiful path, and I'm loving that. And something that came up for us and like our discussion as we all talked about this was just some of the complexities with women for feeling like it's confronting to imagine like, I think monogamy and marriage, they're kind of set up for us as an ideal that's sort of like a grail quest for safety and security. And we want to feel like there's a stable rock that we can stand on. And I think that's really important in relationship. And I think there's a really interesting dance to do. And you're still in the exploration of this and discovering it. All of you are. And we all are, really, because even in monogamy, there's all sorts of veils of how much do I really tell my partner because that might make them uncomfortable, or can I be fully honest about my erotic desires or my, even my dreams sometimes, right? It's like there's so much comfort that gets...
She's like... Things aren't perfect with Eric, in case you were wondering. In case you thought there was an opening possible, there is. Just in case you wanted to know that, Aubrey, for no reason in particular.
Built into wanting to have that safety that sometimes we exchange true intimacy for that comfort.
Yeah.
And I think that if we can take anything away from this, it's like, how can we all get a little bit more curious and excited about what like true, brave intimacy could do for us, like our life force, our power, our clarity, our understanding of ourselves. And I think for something that's a little bit confronting, I can imagine for women is, and I've been feeling into it myself because my nature, while I'm very open-minded, obviously, I'm sitting here with my former fiance, and I've had a really wild path, and I love it. I wouldn't change anything. If I could go back and wave a magic wand and you're such a wonderful man, and I love you so much. But if you really honestly asked me, okay, if Aubrey hadn't made that choice at that point, even though we were so happy and it caused such a big heartache, would you go back and just stay together? And I can't say that at all. I'm grateful that you followed what felt like the truth that you were experiencing in that moment, because then I got to have the whole adventure that was my life and ultimately meet my partner now, and have all of these.
Oh, she's so disappointed. You can tell. She's like, would I go back? I mean, yeah, but that's beside the point.
It's experiences that help me get to know myself and understand the world. But my essence is very devoted. I'm very loyal. I bond a lot with people, with, chapters of my life.
Big sugar glider energy.
Big.
He did not just say that. Sugar glider energy. That's what he said about Alana. Does he not know any other animals exist? Wow. She's so excited. She's like, I am a sugar glider, just like Alana.
You have strong sugar glider energy.
That was him describing Alana. Wow.
I'm proud to be proud of you.
Shut up, Mark. Even from the soundboard, he's annoying.
Wow, you're so wise.
Like, I need lots of hugs. I have strong bonds. I'm a very fierce bonder. And I think not to reduce this phenomenon down to like biological or evolutionary biology, but generally speaking, women err on the side of prioritizing and valuing bonds more than we have learned over generations of being in particular dynamics to follow and honor and get to speak the truth of our desires and to actually follow the calling of the self. And I think that there's I think it pokes a little bit at the shadow part for some of us women who have compromised so much following the self to stay bonded with, and that's a part of our beauty. It's how we bond to our children. It's how we stay in devotion in our families. But I think that there's something really confronting, and it really like shakes up the whole structure of reality as we've come to understand it when we see different choices being made, like, oh, that man's really following the calling of his self. And oh, is that what we can't fathom, that the woman could really be following the calling of herself? Because
Angela, the answer to this question is Aubrey. Who is this podcast meant to help? Aubrey only. Ay. Okay, we're so close.
Unconsciously, so often, we're sort of ignoring the calling of ourselves to honor these beautiful bonds that we have. And no path is the right path. It's not a better and righter path to follow, be unwavering in devotion to the calling of the self. It's important. And it's also a beautiful and immensely valuable part of being alive as a human being to follow the path of the honoring of the bonds. Our bonds are how we know ourselves in the world. Our bonds are our mirrors. Our bonds, our relationships are the way we discover more about ourselves. That's why monogamy also works. Yeah. So there's just an opportunity for more open-mindedness about like, these are two different paths and we can have both, Yeah,
100%. And, I think if you look at the actual statistical data in the aggregate, which Dr. Wednesday Martin wrote about in her book, Untrue. And I really...
Wednesday Addams? He only reads books that already are his worldview. He's got that biased in... What is it? Oh, I don't remember anything. My brain's becoming mush at this stage of this podcast. He does that thing where you go and read something that you already agree with and you go, yeah, I knew it. Like confirmation bias. Thank you. My God. He's got confirmation bias. He only reads books that he already knows that he basically agrees with.
We recommend that people read this book, Untrue. It's a phenomenal book. And what it'll show is that in the aggregate, women's sexual attraction to their monogamous partner falls off a cliff after about 2.5 years. Like after about 2.5 years, that desire goes away. Now,
wow, it's crazy how that's about the same amount of time he needs to find another girlfriend. Wow, he's on to something.
Medically, we understand this. There's this whole idea of a married man getting lucky when his wife wants to have sex with him.
That's a thing.
That's a thing.
Or at least it was for a long, long time.
Like it's culturally a thing. Like, I'm going to get lucky tonight. What do you mean? This is...
Yeah, it's exclusively for married couples. Only. They're the only ones who say that, for sure.
Your partner. Your eros should be like expanding and growing. And part of this is a lack of understanding the technology of more tantric, erotic deepening where you can encounter the stranger at different levels. So, but also there's a biological function. So people imagining that women's sexual desire doesn't exist and once they bond, they're just happy forever. It's not actually supported by the data. The data is that actually...
So why do you keep marrying people and getting engaged with people then? If you know the science behind the truth, then stop proposing.
For men, it declines gradually. It's like a slow, steady decline, but they're always interested in their wife. But for women, it just really actually goes down pretty severely. So oftentimes it's women, when they're in their truth, that are desiring these polyamorous situations. And also, from my experience, it's way fucking harder for men to imagine their partner with another man than it is for women to imagine their partner with another man. I mean, people are like...
Says who? It says your own self? Oh, it's harder for me. This dynamic's actually harder for me, the true victim of this relationship that I force upon everybody.
Like, Aubrey, you got the life, man. And I'm like, yeah? All right, so imagine your beloved and imagine some other man just fucking finishing the deadlift doggy style.
He's gross. What the hell?
And they're like...
He is such, you know what? He is C.U. Norris. He loves it. He's saying it with so much, imagine it. He's imagining it right now. He likes it, I think. I think that's true. That's been a rumor for a while that he's into watching. And I feel like based on how he looks right now, like, just imagine it, baby. That it's true.
Fuck no. Never mind. You know, like, never.
Look at how big his smile is right now. Look at how big he's smile ear to ear. He was hysterically crying just a little bit ago, and now he's like, it's horrible. I never would want that to happen to me. Okay, you're not fooling nobody, buddy.
Mine, bro. Like, I'm good. And that's over and over and over the response. So, like, this is part of this kind of cultural moment that we're in where there's truths that we don't want to speak about. And I think part of the inflammation that was created from our podcast, sure, there's a billion things we could have done better on that podcast. Like, I'm not saying that we did it perfectly. We did it honestly, but not perfectly. And it was incomplete in some parts. And we had no strategy. We didn't even really know why we were doing it. We were just felt like we needed to tell the truth because we told it to all the Fit for Service people. We shared it, you know,
yeah, I mean, and
to a lot of people. So it was like, all right, we gotta come out with this.
Well, I just want to reflect also, I think, because it's always been fundamental to the way that you've shared over time, whether that was about, you know, a plant medicine journey or a teacher that you worked with or something that you discovered in your business path or relationship especially, you've always shared that publicly. And that's been kind of a fundamental implicit agreement that you have with your audience. And so I can understand the sort of this is very outside of the box for a lot of people and might feel threatening to the safety structure that they feel like they built in their sacred union or their marriage or their monogamous partnership, etc. And so with that sense of perceived threat, there can be an interpretation of a motive or, you know, an agenda of trying to make this the better way, the better thing, the right thing, and impress that upon culture. But I just want to testify that I felt the tension, however mild, for as long as you had been in this journey with Vi and Alana, which is like, you know, the public that I have a implicit agreement of truth with has this story about our relationship. And I want to honor the truth of our relationship. And I want to honor the audience that has, you know, granted me their attention over the past 15 years.
It probably wasn't honorable. It probably was, you know, she's going to get pregnant at some point, you know, I guess if they've made this choice, Alana, and then it's going to come out eventually that it's Aubrey's baby. And then they're going to have to answer the question on social media or, you know, turn their comments off or whatever. So they're like trying to get ahead of it. But that's simple. It makes sense to me. They were doing it for a long time without telling the public. And then I think something happened and they said, okay, we better get in front of this. Simple.
And be in truth. And that's all that was really there. And I think there's elements also there of honoring Alana, you know, and letting her be understood as a human being and as a complex being that's, you know, a very important part of your life and a person that's present for everything that you do, and giving her an opportunity to have a voice in this community.
Totally.
You know, and so, you know, I know it's been like, oh, why did we do this? But it's like, I just want to mirror back to you. Like, there's a good and innocent and sincere reason that wasn't about an agenda of trying to, you know, persuade anybody into.
Yeah, it was definitely not. They also said, though, that if you don't, if you have similar feelings and you don't do what they're doing, then war will happen and famine comes from not living in your truth. So, you know, people do look up to this guy, unfortunately, and look up to V and look up to Alana and look up to all the people who stand on stage and do sound bowl meditations and tell everyone that they're so healed and whatever. People do look up to them, unfortunately. And I feel like when you say, this is what we're doing, even if you don't mean to say you should do it too, people are going to take it that way. So it's not their fault necessarily, but I definitely think that they were equating the world's suffering with not being true. And they're saying all men aren't really true. So there is some read between the lines there, but okay, go off, Queen.
This relationship construct. But
yeah. And that's, I think that's the big thing. I mean, I do have an agenda, and the agenda is that I really deeply feel that I'm here to be a catalyst for human evolution.
Really? You're here on this earth to be a catalyst for human evolution. Get a goddamn grip. No one cares about who you're banging. At the end of the day, it's funny. It's hilarious, actually. Love making content about it, but it ain't that deep, dude. It ain't as deep as your friend in your wife. Oh, shit. Who said that? Oh, my God. Damn. Did I say that?
No.
Well, there you go. Free is charged.
Be a catalyst for human evolution. In whatever way that is. And I don't always do it right. I fuck up all the time. And I'm not even all good.
Very evolved.
Like,
oh no.
Like, we have a joke. It's like, you're bad.
You're bad.
You're bad. And like, yeah, I know. I'm bad and I'm good. And I'm bad and I'm good.
Deeply good. You're human.
I'm human.
You're human.
Like, I'm a real live human being who's
unlike
complex, but ultimately, like,
that are critical of him.
I mean, you've known me through all of
the people are critical of him. We're not humans. We're people putting him on trial. We're evil haters, but he's just human and needs to be forgiven. But everyone that criticized him, including people in his own community, are just vicious, evil doers.
These fucking years, have you ever seen me to be abusive to anyone?
Yes.
Never. And I've not only never seen you be abusive to anybody, I've never seen you even speak badly about anybody. You make little teasing jokes with your friends, but I have never heard you, even people who've hurt you really badly, which has happened, I have never heard you speak of anyone the way that some people, not everyone, but some people have spoken about and to you recently. And
well, he is evolved beyond
the
us.
Reason I'm sitting here.
So that's expected, actually, because he's put on this earth to change evolution, then he should actually have a higher standard.
Among many collective reasons that are important to me and that are values to me is because you deserve to be supported in the truth of who you are and how you be when nobody's watching. And I'm one of the few people in your path that's got to be there when no one else is watching for 18 years.
She's always watching. She's got cameras in his house for sure.
And so
she's tracking him.
Yeah, there's something, I think, I feel like there's something happening here in the story and the narrative of, you know, when we whatever happens in ourselves when we pedestalize somebody and we make them, there's this like following guru kind of mimetic trend going around. And it's like,
following guru trend.
For me, as your best friend, I've never seen you try to be anybody's guru. I've always seen you try to just be honest about being a human being. And you've never hidden your sex life, your relationship truth, the truth of your heart, or, nights of partying in Miami or trips to, go sit humbly at the feet of maestros and platform and create documentaries with your own money of medicine keepers from indigenous traditions whose stories would never be heard otherwise. You've poured so much into good causes that you have found along your path and done everything in your power to give a spotlight to the people.
Documenting is going on drugs. What a great cause.
People who you feel really deserve it, that can really help the world. And I can't sleep comfortably at night knowing that all of that goodness could be obscured from the public being receptive to the truth of it because of this, what I believe to be gross misinterpretation of your character. And so I hope that me being here with you today.
Like, stop talking. I gotta change the music. Hold on. Music change. DJ, turn it up. Turn it up, DJ. We gotta switch it up in here. We got a mood change. You ready?
I hope this can be an opportunity for people to see you as you truly are. Because what you're creating and in service to is really, it's really needed right now.
For the war.
And because you deserve it. I'm so sorry.
She's so sorry for what? What did she do?
I also needed this. I needed this too. And yeah, it fucking hurts. And yeah, it fucking sucks. But,
people disagreeing with you, it brings you to tears. It's so funny.
I was still as brave as I was to share what I shared and do what I did. Like, I was still somewhat trapped by my desire to be liked.
Not anymore.
And now I know that that's ephemeral, and it doesn't change my love for the world. It doesn't change what I'm going to do. And if I need to be the villain, I'll be the villain. And if I need to be the hero, I'll be the hero. And I'll be whatever I need to be. And that's the best of me speaking. The bad, worst of me isn't speaking the same way. It wants to raise a sword and clang it on my shield. Fucking come for me, let's go. But the best of me is like, I love you all.
He loves
I love you all so much. And it's been a battle between those parts of me, and
it's been a battle in the comments.
I think this is the rite of passage, and it comes, you were with me in this recent crazy ceremony where I was bestowed 2 unprecedented blessings from Chief Bearcross and
hold on. We're back to spiritual
Maestro
talk.
Alejo and
Alejo. Hold on.
Okay. And I went back after the blessing from Chief Bearcross, and he gave me the buffalo bonnet, and I came back to buy, and I was like,
Not the buffalo bonnet.
This is the most incredible blessing I've ever gotten, but it's a hell of a responsibility. And
responsibility?
And this is part of the responsibility is to be the one that faces the storm no matter what the consequences are. And
to have the capacity to purify the energy through the through your own heart.
Yeah.
Which I think I'm seeing you do, which is huge. It's not an easy task.
She's like, and I know your heart's not the only huge thing you got, so it's really incredible. Call me, please, call me. I need you to call me, please. I miss you, baby. Nechama Gluck, thank you so much. Once again, thank you. What he truly is, an entire chapter in the DSM. Yeah. He's going to be single-handedly the DSM-6, some may say.
There's literally no place in the world than I would rather be than right here with you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you also to Peace Train. Thank you so much.
This is so profound.
This is so profound that it makes me want to take both of you, Nichima and Peace Train.
I want to go to Denny's with you.
I want the gosh darn pancakes right now. Okay, I know the music was a little loud, apologies, but he said that he was given a buffalo bonnet and that what a huge responsibility that is. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. He has a wife and he has another girlfriend. What responsibility does, other than actually none, because you weren't really responsible for your marriage. So I don't know what the hell he's talking about. I don't know what the hell she took before this. Maybe her Xanax is kicking in. I don't know, but they're out of their minds. We're almost done. Swear this time, for real.
Ask to hold all of this and to stay open. It's not an easy task to keep our hearts open.
Yeah.
In pain like that, I can't imagine.
Well, so it is. Thank you, Caitlin. I love you so much. I mean,
let's make out.
As much as timelines could have shifted and we could have ended up staying together forever, like I wouldn't trade this timeline for anything because it's so beautiful, you know? And
she hates herself.
Wait, if you're
so
out there
much
listening,
right
you know, and you ever want to have a conversation with me, like, I'm here. I still love you. I always will.
Oh, thank
and
God.
anybody else who has a problem, like, I still love you, and I always will.
Thank you.
And it's the truest nature of who I am. And
turn your
you know,
comments back on the other video.
this is
We'll
forging
chat.
that truth. And I needed this to forge that truth. I needed to know this about myself. What would happen underneath all the pressure? What would happen underneath all the hate? Who would I be? Would it change who I am? And it's not like I'm a finished product. I'm not a baked Toll House cookie. You know, it's still a little too gooey to take off the sheet. But yeah, this was the rite of passage that I needed. And just thank you so much. Also, there's been so many people who've been so supportive. Like so many people, not just people who know us. Like so many people have reached out with such heartfelt gratitude, and I just want to acknowledge them because so much can be focused on the negative, but it's ignoring this massive positive outpouring that's come and all the conversations that have happened because of this that wouldn't have happened otherwise. And so, you know, God is a chef that doesn't just serve up cotton candy. You know, sometimes it's just bitters.
Ooh, that's
It's just
true.
bitters.
But we wouldn't want to eat something sweet all the time, would we?
No.
We're here for the whole buffet.
Except that you're a sugar glider and you love sugar. And they're going to F if they haven't already. 15 years too long. They are going to fix this timeline actually right now. Guaranteed she's in the fold within a couple years. She's back in, baby. She ain't giving up the game anytime soon.
Buffet.
Whole buffet. No doubt. I'm here with the whole buffet for you. To the end, Katie.
To the end.
I believed in you from the moment I saw you, and I've never wavered in that belief.
You haven't. And I'm so grateful that I didn't close my heart.
Oh, we know.
Or my eyes
God.
to the truth of your heart. And I want to thank you for... I've watched you bless so many human beings on this path. I've watched you create so much beauty. When we were apart, you know, there was nothing you owed me. and there was nothing I owed you. We were totally separated, totally in our own worlds. And any time there was a point of contact, there was loving energy. There was never an ounce of manipulation, only an open heart, open arms ready there and waiting to reflect.
Freudian slip. Yeah, there were open arms for sure. That was God speaking through her in that moment.
And to remind me how great I truly was. And that love has kept me clear, kept me able to love myself, called me forward into a life that I'm very proud of. And I'm proud to stand in and testify to the goodness of this life that I've lived, which is inextricable from your character and who you are. And so thank you for seeing me. Thank you for never being one of those men.
No, he's going again!
There were so many men that couldn't honor me.
He's having a shakedown.
And when you had no reason to be that, you were the clean mirror the whole time that helped me remember my worth.
Get a different mirror, girl.
One of my life's great honors. Love you, kids.
Too.
Oh my God.
All right. If you stayed with us till the end here, thank you.
Yeah.
I love you guys, all of you. And I love you, kids.
I love you too. We're going to get through this.
No doubt. And buy your fucking poetry book. It's incredible. Ridiculous masterpiece.
Thank you. His too, actually.
All right. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for tuning into this video.
Thanks for tuning into this psychopathic rant that I had with my ex-lover, future wife, future fiance. She's perpetual fiance. She'll be a fiance, and then he'll go, "Oh my God, you'll never believe it. You'll never believe the message I just got, babe. I know we've gone through this journey together, and I finally said I was going to be faithful to you. And after all this time, I saw the light, but you'll never guess. 18 months in, I need another girlfriend who's 24. Wow, this is unexpected." Oh my Lord, we did it, everybody. My Eros is off the charts right now from watching them eye bang each other. Right? Don't listen to these words. It's bad words. We're kitties. You're too pure. Taro's the only pure entity here. Alana is fine, whatever, but she's no Taro. Okay. Okay. Well, that was something. We gotta talk about Liver King at some point. Not tonight. I'm tired. I gotta go eat some sustenance after that. And go in, the afterglow of that. Yeah, she wants some kibbles too. I'm gonna eat some kibbles, I think. I'm gonna sing my song, and then I'll be back. We'll talk about Liver King next time. I don't know when it'll be or what's gonna be happening, but he's out of jail already, so there'll be lots to catch up on. All right. Toodaloo, everyone. Thanks. That was hilarious. That was a good time. Goodbye. Starry nights, you make me wanna cry. On my podcast, Nicole Campbell. Do you wanna go to Vegas, not to gamble, but to get engaged, and then break up in a weird way? A Consul, how's your Eros going? Is it a raging stallion, or maybe more calm like a watermelon? Lillian Massey, how much peyote do you want to take in the back of this taxi? That's what Aubrey would ask you if he met you. Alaska but tundra. How many wives do you want in your harem today? Or tomorrow? You don't have to pick right away. Just change the contract. Carasoto. Do you know about though? What? I don't know. I am staring at Aubrey Marcus's knee tattoo for way too long. It put me in a trance. Lisa B. That's what your name does to me as well. I'm in a trance. Rebeled Fuentes. I just have to say that you're a poet too. And if you could rhyme 3 words, it would be I heart you. Wow. Yeah. Last time, best time. Broken and holy hallelujahs. Broken and something hallelujahs. Gotta say it 10 times or it doesn't come true. Chris Johnson, how about you? Do you think that Caitlyn is gonna be in the love pack? Rob Sheehan. Aubrey Marcus wouldn't want to be in. I've used that before, I'm sorry. But it's the perfect line. And Mary, do you want to join the harem or go on the ferry and float away from this situation? I'll leave it to you. Take a few months of isolation and come back to us. Okay, good night. Goodbye.